Yo, what up? So, we're back with more of, this game. Game in quotation marks, because it's mostly just text. So last time... I don't even remember what happened last time. I was so into reading the dialogue that I wasn't absorbing any of it. I think we came here to fight Lynx. We learned pretty much most of the major plot points mirror what happened in Chrono Cross in terms of Kid and Lynx and all that stuff. So it's really like if you, I don't know, it's so hard to explain what this is. Because this is like an alternate universe, but it's also not, and it's just a confusing mess. Anyway, last time I got killed by piranhas. And then I wandered around a bunch of rooms that didn't lead anywhere. And now I'm in a spot where I have no idea what I'm doing. I know there was a mouth of truth at the end of the last part, and I threw a bunch of stuff in it and nothing happened. Oops. Alright. Gotta make sure I don't do that. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's why you can't save in this game. Just loading that menu fucks it up. Alright, so I can't open the door. I guess we'll go back to the terrace. We gotta figure out where to go, because last time we kind of went everywhere and then nothing happened. So we went into the ballroom last time, and nothing happened. Maybe we'll find something in there now. Because going back to Lynx's room twice did something different. Actually, going back to a bunch of rooms multiple times did something different. Like, we found out that someone was in the commander's daughter's room, who I believe that's Riddell from Chrono Cross. I'm not too sure. Pushing her way through the massive doors, Kid steps into the huge hall. No one's here still. With a countless number of candles illuminating the room, everything around us flickers and sways in the ever-changing light. Placed high up on the walls, many large portraits mysteriously stare down upon us. Wait, what was that? Could have sworn one of the faces moved just a second ago. Come on, Serge. Enough with all this. It was probably a trick of the light, caused by a flickering candle or something. The candlelight distorted the oil's glossy finish for a second or two. Yeah, that's probably what happened. I remember reading this already. But maybe... These paintings are bloody strange. Kid sees it too. She has to have seen it. I suggest we look somewhere else, Madrigal says suddenly. Kid and I offer no objections. Oh, here we go. Suddenly, a blood-curdling screech cuts through the darkness. Scared stiff at the deafening sound, I look up to see two gigantic, maddening red eyeballs staring straight at me. It's a griffin! Before I can even unsheath my knife, it starts to flap its wings viciously, conjuring a tremendous gust of wind. I'm knocked clear off my feet, banging my head up against a wall. Serge, you okay? My body aches from head to toe. I struggle to ignore the pain as I hastily get back up. So I read up, and it turns out that I think there is a set amount of HP that you have. Serge has 140, and certain actions will decrease it by different numbers, but the game never tells you that. In addition, there's an invisible relationship bar with Kid that you can increase. I don't know what that changes, but it changes something. I bend down to grab my knife. As I stand back up with it in my hand, I suddenly realize the griffin has already cornered me off. It stands no less than a few feet in front of me, its enraged red eyes glowing like ember. What am I going to do now? Jump out of the way? Ram it. Hit the deck. Jump out of the way. I instinctively leap back. However, the griffin is easily large enough to reach me. It thrusts its head at me, boring its beak into my chest. Ow. Ah! I swing madly at the vicious creature, hoping to release me from its excruciating grip. I land a blow on its head and it releases me as I'm thrown backwards onto the floor. Rubbing my wound, I grip my teeth and ready myself for an attack. Trying to break free of that ferocious, visceral gaze, I remember the knife I'm holding and grip it tight. Attack, protect myself, run. Right up in that bitch. Quickly switching my knife to a backhanded grip, I swing at the griffin's neck with all my rage. I send my knife arcing through the air, hoping to connect with raw flesh. It reels back in pain. I back away as I watch the blood start to gush from its wound. "Don't move, Serge!" I hear Kid shout. Suddenly, she vaults over my shoulders from behind. Ha! Alright. She's landed a powerful jump kick on the side of the griffin's neck. Its head snaps backwards, letting loose a terrifying howl. Madly rambling around, the griffin's fiery gaze suddenly zeroes in on me, angrier than ever. What am I going to do now? Jump out of the way? Well, that didn't work. Ram it, hit the deck. Hit the deck. Before I realize what's going on, the griffin snaps at me with its huge beak. Ah! The griffin bores a huge crevice into my shoulder. I put some pressure on the wound, trying to think of how I could take a piece out of this overgrown bird. Trying to break free of that ferocious, visceral gaze, I remember the knife I'm holding and grip it. Wait, really? Again with this? I take a moment to duck out of the action and catch my breath. Serge, get your arse back here! I look up to see Kid squaring off with the beast, landing an uppercut directly into the base of its right wing. Her blow was well-paced, adding injury to an already open wound the griffin had suffered. It reels backwards, screeching in pain. It's now or never, I tell myself. I sneak up on the griffin from behind, trying to stay within its blind spot. But then, all of a sudden, the griffin snaps around, billowing its scalding breath down on me. What am I going to do now? Well, the other two didn't work, so ram it is. I start sprinting towards the griffin, hoping to bash it with all my weight. As I come in close, it swings at me with one of its claws. Ugh! The razor-sharp talons tear across my torso. Pulling my shirt down over the wound, I try to ignore the pain and regain my focus. Trying to break free of that ferocious... Remember the knife I'm holding again with this? However, seeing its fate, the griffin desperately recoils, leaving me with nothing but a fumbled attack. It then swings at me, eager to defend itself. I dodge, but then accidentally slip and fall to the ground. Serge, move! That was Magil. Whoops. Serge, move. Magil's thundering voice booms from behind. Not knowing what to expect, I immediately hit the deck. Suddenly from above, a blazing streak of red shoots through the air, straight into the heart of the griffin. Why does Magil not get involved earlier? That's like the second time he waits to do something. Its body bursts into flames. It rises up on its hind legs, screeching in pain. Engulfed in fire, the griffin crashes onto the floor with a huge thud. I am injured to shit. Ouch. My body is screaming at me from all of my cuts and bruises, and I'm a mess upstairs, too. I don't know how much more of this I can handle. I really need to watch myself from here on out. You got a thing or two to learn, but you're getting there, mate. Kid's mischievous eyes sparkle as I glance at her for a moment in the dim moonlight. I set off down the corridor with her, ready for what's next. Huh. Interesting. I guess that was a random fight. Let's go back. Are you serious? There's no way in hell I'm going back there to be eaten alive. Yeah, losing a leg or two wouldn't do a thing for your girlish figure. Having stopped before the atrium, we once again come to the ominous mouth of truth. Maybe there's something we didn't try before, Kid says. Taking out her personal effects and holding them at me. Me again? Kid smiles at me innocently. Amidst my hesitation, I reach for one of her accessories. There's nothing new here. It's all the same. What was the one that healed us? So there is an object in there, but I can't reach it. Alright, so there's nothing new here. We've seen all this already. Yeah, we can't do anything here. We have to find something in the mansion. Let's head down the passageway again. These are the quarters of Riddell, Lynx's adopted daughter. We could go in here again. We've come to a comfortably decorated room. Yeah, we read this already. The owner of the room has obviously gone to great lengths. A breeze coming into a slightly open window refreshes me a little. Wait, that window wasn't open before. Let's come back another time. We don't want to get caught snooping around. For the time being, we leave Riddell's room. Alright, so we can't look in there anymore. Oh, great. Another griffin. Yep. So the griffin's a random encounter, meaning that fighting it the first time did nothing. And I lost all my HP. I hear Kid calling out to me, but her voice is getting more and more distant as I lay on the floor, motionless. Okay, so I lost all my HP there. So going into the ballroom did nothing. Lynx's quarters. I sure hope that key's in here somewhere. Bet that mirror could tell us where it is, Kid says, removing its large silk cloth. Oh, I read them in the wrong orders, whatever. The dark mirror looms before us like a still lake on a moonless evening. Is there something you wish to know? The Venus' statue reflection asks. Ask about Lynx, ask about where the treasure vault key is, ask about Kid's measurements. Oh man. I might have to do that just to... inject a little comedy here. Kid's measurements bursts out of my mouth with a big smile. I duck out of the way as Kid begins to slap and punch me, desperately trying to keep my eyes on the mirror. Suddenly, its surface begins to ripple. Could it really know this much? Boy, this is going to be good. Slowly, numbers start to form on the dark surface. 66, 5, 9. 66, 5, and 9. What kind of measurements are those? Momentarily catching her attention, Kid also stares at the numbers, scratching her head. After a moment, Magil offers a simple answer in an apathetic monotone. Height, shoe size, ring size. What? Aw, ma'am, what a jip. Excuse me, Miss Venus, ma'am. However, the mirror has already returned to its normal appearance, reflecting nothing but the ugly room back at me. The spirit has apparently migrated to another mirror, Magil says. Really? It can do that? Damn. Laughing at my misfortune, Kid adds, oh, come on. What more could a guy ask for than to know the great king's Oh, come on. What more could a guy ask for than to know the great kid's ring size? So, What did you want to buy me, Serge? Clothes, shoes, or jewelry? In my big mouth. No, we want to go back. I hate how it, like, forces you to go. Ask about Lynx. What's going on inside Lynx's mind right now, I ask, as my curiosity momentarily overcomes my fear. The surface of the mirror ripples gently, before fading into darkness. Before long, a sentence of white text begins to materialize. Huh? Kid asks, frustratedly staring at the text. What's "be so kind and find him by yourself" supposed to mean? That's your answer? You damn mirror. Just want a good smashing, don't ya? She yells, stepping towards it. However, the mirror's clarity begins to fade, and all the remaining text becomes too foggy to read. Kid shakes the mirror in anger, but the mirror seems to have lost its vision. Damn mirror. Come on, let's find another one, Kid insists, rushing out of Lynx's headquarters. Or quarters, rather. There ain't no head there. If you know where the key to the treasure vault is, could you please tell us? The mirror's... hold on one second. Okay, sorry. Just wanted to do a quick, check. The mirror's surface begins to ripple. The whirling smoke soon takes shape into a picture of a large room, decorated with rows and rows of books. In a beautiful womanly voice, the mirror responds, "The key you seek, as you see before you, rests within this room. Towards the rear of this great sanctuary of knowledge, within a large purple book, you will find the item you so desire." The image slowly fades and returns to a normal reflection. The spirit has apparently moved to another mirror, Magil says. Okay, let's head for the study. As I head for the door, I suddenly get the feeling I'm being watched. I come to a stop and I look around. Then, suddenly, a faint whisper reaches my ears. "Be careful. They know." Whose voice was that? It wasn't any of ours. The mirror. It wouldn't double-cross us, would it? Kid heads out the door, bolting down the corridor. I frantically chase after her, easily as eager as she is. Suddenly, Kid comes to a stop. Something ain't right. Hearing this, I immediately unsheath my knife. I try to look ahead and behind, but all I can see is darkness. Wait, what was that? Up ahead. Looked like part of the wall moved. Yeah, right there. Yeah, right there. One of the square tiles was moving right in front of my eyes. Wait a second. That's not a tile at all. It's armor. "Hey, over here, Mr. Goblin," Kid shouts. "Come on, Kid. It looks awfully big." Having been discovered, the massive goblin squares off with us, coming into full view. Uh-oh. It's got friends. Two sets of footsteps behind me make me realize they amount 4 in total. Or in all. I keep my focus on the two in front of me, while Magil turns to face the rear. How could things so large camouflage themselves so well? Readying my knife, I set my sights on the goblin before me. They've certainly got us in a pinch. They've already blocked off all escape routes of this tight corridor. We'll have to fight our way out of this one. Magil begins to confront the two in the rear, while Kid rushes the front. Knife in hand, I rush out with her, hurling myself into action. One of the goblins whips its morning star out, swinging its spiked iron ball down at me. Whoa! I nearly miss it, leaping to the side at the last possible second. It comes crashing down, shattering the stone floor under it into a cloud of dust. Beside me, Kid leaps nimbly into the air, dodging a close attack. The scene here has been reduced to a barrage of weapons and chains flying through the air, thick with the dusty haze of shattered stone flooring. Looking over towards Kid, a glimmer of light flashes before me, and there, in front of us, a knife has been suddenly implanted deep into a goblin's left eye. Writhing in pain, the goblin hits the ground. I try not to look at it, keeping myself focused on the fight. There's no doubt. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee are words she lives by here in the thick of combat. Without a single problem handling herself, Kid's truly a natural. Another one of the goblins draws near soon after, already wildly swinging its morning star above its head. Do what Kid would do. Leap back. Do what Kid would do. That's right. If Kid can do it, so can I. On the verge of its attack, I confront the goblin with my knife ready. It hurls its morning star down at me. I leap to the side, thinking to myself, it's now or never. The goblin is busy trying to bring its morning star out of the rubble, leaving me wide open for my attack. I hurl the knife at it as hard as I can. Alright, I did it. A wave of adrenaline runs through my body as I watch the goblin scream in agony, with my knife sticking out of its right eye. Wow, mate. Did you do that? Kid's praise rings through me, filling me with a rush of power. Now quit standing around. We're fighting here. Damn it, I was just... Get over here and fight, mate. She's right. I leap back into the frenzy just as the goblin painfully pulls the knife out of its eye and tosses it aside. In a desperate attempt to get my weapon back, I make a dive for the knife over in the far corner. And now the goblin's all but cornered me off. Picking the ball and chain up off the floor, the ferocious goblin starts to lunge at me, screaming at the top of its lungs. Hurl my knife at it and also strike to snatch its mace. Aim to kick it in the face, and while stunned, ram my knife into its heart. Hurl my knife at it. I chuck my knife at the goblin, sending it spinning through the air, aimed directly for its face. Oh, gross. The knife's been planted deep into the goblin's left eye. Wow, this thing's blind now. Excuse me, I got it in both eyes. It growls in pain, desperately trying to remove the thing from its skull. Seeing an opportunity, I quickly bolt towards the towering beast, slipping by its side and snatching its mace. The goblin turns its bloody head towards me as it pulls its dagger out of its eye, tossing the puny weapon aside. Aiming for its face again, I swing the heavy weapon outward. A horrible sound echoes throughout the corridor as the goblin's face is turned into a putrid mess. With its skull utterly shattered, the hulking beast falls to the floor, dead. That seems to be the last of them. Looking around, I straighten my shirt and let out a deep breath. I really think I'm starting to get the hang of this whole fighting thing. I'm barely hurt at all. You got a thing or two to learn, but you're getting there, mate. Kid's mischievous eyes sparkle as I glance at her for a moment in the dim moonlight. I set off down the corridor with her, ready for what's next. After walking a ways, we come to a beautifully decorated set of doors on the left. Yeah, here we go. We're back here again. Wait, were there 3 paths down there? Go back down the stairs. No, there was only 2. Might be time for a save, actually. I gotta remember to do that more often. More like text gory. Yeah, it is. This isn't a text story, it's text gory. Alright, let's go in here again. Wait, what's left passageway? I don't remember this. Stained wooden door. Go in. Guess this is the study. Oh, I don't think I've ever been here. No, I haven't. This huge room is faintly lit by moonlight, shining in through a tall window. In the back of the room stands a large, ornately decorated desk. Row after row of bookshelves house thousands of thick, dusty books. A painting is hung over the rear wall, sharing space with various exotic curios. Okay, time to find that key, Kid says as she steps into the center of the room, surrounded by row after row of books. Where did that crazy mirror say we could find it? Serge, pay attention when I'm talking to you. Huh? I thought you remembered which one it was. I believe it was the purple book. So which one is it? Blue book in the front, purple book in the back. That was it. I'm wondering if touching the other one, or checking the other ones will lead to a battle or not. I'm kind of hoping not. I'm pretty sure it's that purple book over there, I think. Which one? There's millions of them in this shot. Which one? Oh, I see it. Kid pulls out a purple book towards the bottom of the shelves. Watch closely as she opens it up. Flipping through the pages, suddenly an old brass key falls out of the book, hitting the ground with a clank. Alright, the key. Throwing the book aside, Kid bends down and grabs the key. Her eyes light up as she stares at it in her hands. We race out of the study, eager to see what awaits us in the vault. Macaw follows behind us a moment later, after returning the book to the shelf. That was a neat room. Very big. We leave the study, retracing our steps through the dark passageway. Finally, the passage comes to a three-way branch. There's a descending staircase in front of us, in addition to passageways to the right and left. The one on the left will take us back towards the terrace. Descend the stairs. Head towards the terrace. Enter the right passageway, proceeding to the ballroom. We gotta head towards the terrace. Oh, another battle. It's another goblin. So if these are all the same, I could just choose the same options and not get hurt. Oh, damn it. Damn it, just as I go to make my move, I slip and fall flat on my back. I see the goblin stand over me, laughing to itself as it raises its morning star overhead. I've got to do something fast. Thinking a mile a minute, I somehow remember my knife and ram it into the goblin's shin. Get up and stab it in the heart, scamper away. While the goblin tends to its painfully wounded ankle, I seize the opportunity and leap up with my knife. I planted the knife deep within the thing's chest. Thick blood pours out in spurts. However, at the same time, I feel a tremendous thud on the top of my head. Delirious, I stumble to the ground, barely able to notice the goblin before me, collapsing as well. Suddenly, I see stars flash all around me, and then again, and again. Serge, wake up, come on, this ain't no time for daydreaming, Kid says, slapping me on the cheeks. Alright, quit slapping me. What? You ought to be grateful for getting an awakening by a fair maiden like me. Fair maiden, please. Phew. You okay, mate? Yeah, I'm not bad. Just some bruises here and there. But nothing too serious. You? Oh, are you kidding? I kicked that thing's arse so bad it didn't even have time to say its prayers. Yeah, we did pretty good back there, didn't we? You got a thing or two to learn, but you're getting there, mate. Kid's mischievous eyes sparkle as I glance at her for a moment in the dim moonlight. I think that means that my relationship with her increases. I'm not sure. Well, going in there is pointless. There better be treasure here. The smell of gold's thick in the air, mate. I think this is what the key is for now. Better open now, says Kid, putting the key that we found into the lock. As the lock clicks, we're suddenly showered in all colors of light. Must have been an enchanted lock. Whatever's on the other side of this door has got to be good. The heavy doors open slowly. Inside the room, I gasp at the awesome spectacle laid out before our eyes. That's a lot of gold. Despite the sparse light, a brimming mountain of silver, gold, and other precious-looking artifacts shimmer and twinkle throughout this huge treasure vault. Kid is almost drooling at the sight. But to be fair, a sight like this would captivate most people. Enormous heaps of riches are piled before our eyes, and amounts most people will probably never see in their lifetime. It looks to be authentic. Remember, our goal is the flame. Do not waste time with frivolities, says Macaw flatly. Geez, I told you, I know. I know, I told you, geez, or whatever. Regardless of Macaw's warning, Kid can't help but be taken aback. She gawks at the room's contents in awe until... Hey, what's that? In the back, on that pedestal. The pedestal? There, a palm-sized jewel radiates a pale crimson light, resting patiently behind the other treasure. It looks as though it's a roaring flame that has somehow been frozen in time. Nice. It's kind of crazy how a lot of the music in this was just directly used in Chrono Cross. Like they remastered it and made it sound good. But this is definitely a Chrono Cross song. Take all the gold. Yeah, I know, seriously. We should be stuffing our pockets here. As Madrigal glides towards the pedestal, I nervously call out, "Come on, take it. Before someone realizes we're here. Be careful, we can't... Excuse me. Be careful, we can't afford falling into a trap." "Fine," Kid says frustratingly, glancing back at the door. "Just remember, we're short on time." I think I'm gonna sneeze, actually. I actually managed to shut my mic that time. I actually really like this. This is like one of my favorite Chrono Cross songs. It's very mystical and odd sounding. After investigating the pedestal for a little while, Serge was correct. It does seem to be trapped. Oops, I gotta click back in the window. Madrigal steps back, mumbling something in a low voice while placing his hand near the base of the pedestal. Slowly, an inscription begins to emerge on its surface, shining brightly for a moment. "It should be disarmed now," he says, before cautiously lifting the scarlet jewel from the pedestal. Serge's party got the frozen flame. Whew, we did it! With a sigh of relief, I turn towards Madrigal. He's looking intently at the flame. "Way to go, Madrigal. Alright, let's..." Suddenly, the gem shatters into 1,000 pieces in Madrigal's hand. "It's a fake. Indeed, that fiend Lynx would never have left the real flame in a place like this." Imagine if the Chrono Cross game and the music was like this instead. I can't imagine, if the entirety of Chrono Cross was a text adventure. Do you know how confusing that would be, given the fact that there's 2 entire worlds to explore? It's hard enough remembering the directions in this. Imagine having to remember 2 entire worlds. It is interesting how much of this game was used to construct Chrono Cross, though. Damn. Suddenly, an alarm bell rings out, the room lights up, and heavy metal bars fall in front of the door. It's save time, I think. Rip Chrono anything at this point. What are you talking about? Don't you remember the extremely well-received Steam port of the iOS version of Chrono Trigger that came out last month, with all of its wonderful HD blurring that they did to the textures? Yeah, people were happy about that. To be fair, Square Enix says that they are going to fix it by adding in the options to make the game more like the original version, but then it's also like, then you really didn't do anything but just put the original version on Steam. I don't know. It's the problem is a lot of these companies now that are doing like re-releases or remasters are not putting in the work that they should to make them seem really good. Yeah, no, seriously. Like today, we finally got the official announcement of the 2 Mega Man X collections that are coming to Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC. And both versions have high-quality filter mode, which thankfully is optional. It's not required to use. But it just adds like an emulator filter over the game that makes all the lines look smooth and like very like... It doesn't reduce like the lines and outlines, it just makes them look smooth, which makes them look very, very weird, because it like blends them, and it looks very blurry as a result. And that even affects the PS1 games, which are really beautiful 32-bit like pixel games. And it's just ridiculous that Capcom thinks that looks good. That said, I will most likely get X Collection 2, just because I've never played X7 or X8 before, and having those games on the Switch would be so cool. Even though X7's trash. It kind of sucks because the best X games are all in the first collection. The second collection is all of the lesser games. 5, 6, 7, and 8. I've streamed 4 before. Back when I was doing Secret of Mana, I streamed X4 with both characters, actually. Suddenly, an alarm bell rings out. The room lights up, and heavy metal bars fall in front of the door. Our only exit is blocked. I look around, only to see Kid holding a fancy crown, suddenly realizing what she's done. Surge's party got the golden crown. Great. That dim-witted dingo, I say to myself. Suddenly, out of the corners of the room, 4 mechanical birds suddenly come to life. Intruder alert! Intruder alert! Their loud metallic screeching only adds to my uneasiness. It doesn't look like it will open, says Macaw, checking the iron bars in front of the door. But, before Macaw can even finish his sentence, we start to hear deep, snarling voices somewhere outside the room. Which way is it coming from? A heavy voice asks. Sounds like the treasure vault's alarm to me. The voices continue to get louder and louder as we stand motionless inside the room. We silently gawk at each other, hoping any of us will have some sort of plan. Kid hides herself under a mountain of gold coins. Quick, hide, mate! I frantically look around the room. There, over in the far corner, there's an empty treasure chest behind a post. I dash over towards it, climb in, and close the lid. Looks like there's no one here, boss. That's strange. No one's ever been able to escape this old thing. Softly opening the lid of the chest, I take a peek out through the small crack and see 5 goblins bedecked in armor, having unlocked the iron bars and standing just a few feet from me. They look around the room restlessly, peeking into the shadows. Eventually, one of them raises his head to speak. Maybe a rat set it off. The cook was complaining about rats just the other day. Rats? Are you trying to tell me a rat set off the trap? A fat goblin asks A fat goblin questions the other with a doubtful face. And with that, squeak, 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 comes from the corner, over by where Kid's hiding. Taken aback, the goblins stop moving and look at each other. After a little while, the chief slowly strokes his chin and says, No, actually, it wasn't stray cats that the cook was complaining about? Meow, meow. Comes the voice a second time. Again, the goblins glance at each other. That's strange. What I heard was that a vicious heckren that raided the pantry, I think. Not a peep this time. I can only picture Kid racking her brain, trying to think of what a heckren sounds like. Just as I thought, a thief, says one of the guards, but just as they start to approach, run. Oh, well then, it certainly is a heckran, without a doubt, one of them says, exchanging a smile with the others. Well, that's pretty frightening then. Come on, let's get out of here. The pack begins to file out of the treasure room vault. What the fuck? Are you kidding me? How did that work? Oh, alright, never mind. But then suddenly the goblins all spring on the pile of gold. Well, what do we have here? Hey, get your hands off me, you slimy freaks, Kid says, struggling to break free. Slimy? Thief like yourself isn't in much of a position to criticize, one of them hollers at her. Kicking herself free at their grasp, Kid inches back into the corner of the room. The goblins start to corner her off, laughing to themselves. I quietly sneak out of my hiding place and unsheathe my knife. Taking an entire troop of armed goblins is a lost cause, even for Kid. What should I do? Frankly, I'm in a quandary. I've got to save her. I've got to save myself. Of course I'm going to save her. Yeah, I can't abandon my friends, especially at a time like this. Gripping my knife tightly, I charge into the center of the room, shouting, Hey, you stupid oafs, excuse me. Man, those burgers are really, not sitting pretty in my stomach. They all turn around, staring at me blankly for a moment before their expressions turn to rage. You just came out here to die, didn't you, little man? You really want us to trample over your head that badly? Well, I suppose we can accommodate you, the goblin boss says, giving a deep laugh. Without a moment's hesitation, Kid shouts back, Don't think you can easily pick a fight with the likes of the great Kid and get away with it. Wait a minute, so you're the elusive Kid, the boss asks, as its eyes softly narrow. How sweet this is. Perhaps if I deliver your head to Lord Lynx, he'll give me a nice reward. The boss goblin takes its morning star from its side. The huge iron ball jangles down to the floor. Please don't confuse us with just any ordinary goblins, striking fear into the hearts of men everywhere. We are Lynx's elite security force, the fearsome magic gobbler team. If you got time to spout off all that nonsense, then you got time to get your arses kicked. Kid shouts, exploding into a fierce roundhouse kick. The goblin teeters and staggers, dizzy by the brunt of her attack. So when am I going to run into Salt and Pepor? Or do they not work for Lynx? They work for the Acacia Dragoons, right? Oh no, they work for General Viper, that's it. Salt and Pepor. And like half of their fights are tutorials. Let's get him, boys! Start with that little twerp over there. Metal balls begin to swing around, swooshing through the air with a deadly speed. Jet Gobbler attack, now! Sliding across the floor like the wind, the goblins simultaneously rush us. Looking up, all I see is a goblin coming at me head-on, ready to bash its weapon into my skull. Dodge, parry, parry. Frantically parrying the goblin's attack, I try to lunge with my knife. However, before I could do anything, the goblin snaps me up with its thick arms and smashes me as hard as it can on the floor. My mind goes completely blank from the shock. Beside me, an arrow of light jumps up from Madrill's fingertips, instantly pulverizing the goblin. The goblin topples to the ground, half vaporized. Madrill stares at it with his ever-present eyes of steel as his dark cape flaps in the breeze. Another huge iron ball whizzes through the air, swinging down towards me. Roll over and dodge it. Ram the bastard. I've got to think of a better strategy than just standing around. I quickly put my weight onto the goblin, trying to force it off balance. Gritting my teeth, I butt my head against the goblin's face. My head feels like it's been hit by a hammer. However, I open my eyes and see the goblin's in a lot worse shape than I am. It falls backwards in a daze, its mouth a bloody mess. My head feels like it's on fire. I take a second to regain my wits. Beside me, an arrow of light jumps out from Magical's fingertips, instantly pulverizing the goblin. The goblin topples to the ground, half vaporized. Again. Alright, so we have two goblins that should be dead by now. The metal ball rams into my shoulder, throwing me off balance. Ow. Writhing in pain, I'm barely able to lift my head in preparation for the next attack. Good boy. Come on, let's have some more fun. Kid comes to my aid, delivering a lightning-quick strike to one of the goblins. What's the matter, huh? Where's your magical gobbler skills now, or whatever you call it? The goblin can't help but collapse onto the floor in pain. Kid boots it in the jaw before backing away for her next attack. Quit screwing around, Surge. Keep an eye on your own trouble. Long live Lord Lynx! Glory to the magical gobblers, says the last of the goblins as it comes crashing to the ground in a bloody mess. Phew, that's the last of them. We did it somehow. Easy, says Kid, wiping some sweat off her brow. Damn it, Surge, you're such a loon thinking you could rescue me from those goons like that. It worked out pretty well, though, eh, mate? We must be on our way, Magil says. There's no way of knowing who else knows we're here now. Also, there's no way of avoiding iOS 11 telling me to update it yet again. I really shouldn't run the update for iOS 11. I have a better battery now. But I also feel like it's going to ruin my phone if I do that. I'll do it after tomorrow. Nice. Oh, hey. How you doing? Yeah, if you didn't know... Well, you shouldn't, because I've actually never mentioned it. Tomorrow, I'm not streaming. I'm going to stream Thursday, because I'm going to like an art exhibit tomorrow evening. And hopefully meet some animation students that I can network with for voice acting. That'd be pretty cool. Excuse me. I know. That bastard's causing us too much trouble. They said they were Lynx's personal guards, right? They must have some valuable stuff on them. But before she even finishes speaking, Kid starts to search through the head goblin's clothes. Sheesh, there's really no need to be such a scavenger. Hey, what's this? She says, removing a small metal object from the goblin's pocket. It's a hand-shaped medallion of some sort, covered in archaic-looking symbols. It's a key, Magil says, walking over towards us. These markings suggest it unlocks a certain magical seal. Wow, well, they're lost, says Kid, casually putting the plate into her pocket. Damn it, they don't have any other good stuff. Cheap goblins. She stands up and looks around, sighing. It'd be a waste to leave all this loot behind, though. We can always come back for it later, kid. Kid turns around and grins. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's go. The night won't last forever. Alright, so that ordeal's over. From the treasure vault, paths extend to the left and right. The path right proceeds... Alright, we gotta go downstairs, so we gotta head back towards the terrace. After a little while, we come to a door on the left. Terrace light. Well, no. Now the enemies are starting to get more common, so going in random doors is probably not a smart idea. Alright, we want to go downstairs. I'm pretty sure this is where we have to go to do the archway. Are you serious? There's no way in hell I'm going back there to be eaten alive. Yeah, losing a leg or two wouldn't do a thing for your girlish figure. Having stopped before the atrium, we once again come to the ominous mouth of truth. Maybe there's something we didn't try before, Kid says, taking out her personal effects and holding them out at me. Me again? Kid smiles at me innocently. Amidst my hesitation, I reach out for one of her accessories. Try using the hand-shaped plate. I take the hand-shaped plate. Its strange, contorted symbols give me a headache just by looking at them. Nervously, I reach in and place it onto the tongue. It's a perfect fit. Sliding it into place, I quickly remove my hand and back away a few steps. The huge white eyes start moving around slowly, and a slight vibration can be felt from behind the wall. Something's happening. Something big. I just wish I knew whether it's good or bad. An odd sound escapes from the mouth of truth as its eyes continue to roll. I want to make a run for it. However, I look over and see the ever-fearless expression in Kid's eyes and stay my ground. Suddenly, the marble sculpture stops moving. I stare at it, wondering what's going on. Then, its tongue starts to roll around inside its mouth, while its eyes tilt further and further upwards into its pupils, until its pupils disappear underneath its eyelids. We hear the plate sliding down its throat, vanishing into the deep, dark depths of the mansion. What's happening? Apparently a pious being such as this may roll its eyes from time to time. The simple fact that Madge will try to make a joke just there makes me stop and forget where I am for a second. All that's gonna happen is you're gonna lose another one of my things. I could've got a lot of cash for that, Kid says regrettably. Suddenly, over by the atrium, we start to hear some sort of latch being opened, and then, moments later, the sound of water draining echoes throughout the corridor. Taking a few steps towards the atrium, I see the red water has formed into a whirlpool and is flowing down into the pond. The piranhas are being washed away. What's the matter, little fishies? Not enough water? Aw, playtime's over, you nasty buggers. Come on, I'm dying to see what's past that fountain. Having crossed the atrium, eventually we come to a split in the path. We can either go left or right from here. Head down the left path, take the right path, turn back. Time for another save. Well, three lefts make a right. After a little bit of walking, we come to an odd-looking door with a brass handle. Damn it, another locked door. I don't get it. There's no smell of gold or nothing. Oh, I read those in the wrong characters' voices again. This leads to Viper Manor's catacomb, says Macaw hesitantly. He's right. Standing here in silence, I realize there's a faint scent of death in the air. And then, putting my ear to the door, I start to hear deep, tortured moans from far beyond. I jump back, looking at the door. Let's try somewhere else. Heading away from the catacombs, we eventually come to a split. Turning right back leads back to the atrium, and ahead of us leads into nothing. Keep going forward. After a little ways down the passageway, we come to a descending staircase. Take the stairs, turn back. Well, but thou must. We slowly walk down the stairs, taking us deep below ground. It's as though we're descending further and further into an endless abyss. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, that burger is just like giving me bubblies. Once we reach the bottom, we come to another split. We can go left or right, but both paths look equally dismal. Well, let's try the right. After a little while, the passage ends at a small door. Hey, I smell home cooking. Enter. Turn back. Get the fuck in there. Oh, it's just a small kitchen. For the servants, probably, I add. I look around the tiny room. There's a sink, pots, and pans, and a bunch of food in the cupboards. A rat hangs off in a cage in a corner, but aside from that, it's a pretty average kitchen. Kid walks over to a deep saucepan and peers inside. Smells fresh. Want some grub, Serge? Sure. What? No way. Yeah, hell yeah. I timidly peer into the saucepan. Looks like some sort of stew. Using the ladle on the stove, I reach in and take a big scoop. Delicious. Barf. What is this stuff? Kid looks at me again. After a moment of hesitation, she comes over. Quit hogging it all for yourself, mate, she says, taking the ladle and sniffing the warm mixture. Want some, Magil? No, thank you. We take some bowls from the shelves and serve ourselves some more. As we eat more and more, the stew's warmth flows through all of us. I feel great. But then all of a sudden, a quiet, shrill voice echoes out. It seems to be coming from over by the cage. What an independent young lad. Are all boys wearing braids these days? I stop and look at Kid. Who's there? Looking over in the direction of the voice, we see nothing but the single rat. It stares at us with its small, beady eyes. Excuse me. You're a girl, not a boy. It looks like Kid can't decide whether to be puzzled or infuriated by all this. But just between you and me, I don't think this is the first time her personality has led someone to think she's a guy. At any rate, the brown rat continues. Listen, please, kind humans. I am trapped with the most unfortunate situation. While on my way to the kitchen this morning to bring home some food for my mother, goblins seized me and trapped me here in this cage. Unless I can escape, I'm to be a side dish for their next meal. Ugh. A side dish? Listening to the rat, Kid walks over to the sink. Please, you must help me. My desperately ill mother awaits my return, the rat pleads, its eyes twinkling in the light. However, I look over towards Kid. She's over by the sink, her face getting redder and redder. Stupid rat. Don't even know a lady when you see one, Kid yells, stomping out of the kitchen. Oh, young lady, I did not mean to. With Kid gone, the rat turns towards me. Brother, help me out. Help it out? Abandon it. Of course I'm going to help it out. I understand. I open the cage door. The rat quickly scurries out. The rat laughs as a strange smile comes over its face. You really are a bunch of fools. Spitting out those words, the rat suddenly starts to tremble before rapidly growing in size, growing larger and larger by the second. God damn it, really? It's a fucking griffin, really? Stupid humans, you're just in time for lunch. My mother's, that is. Damn it, Serge, you walked right into its trap. Oh man, what was I thinking? The griffin rises up onto its hind legs, screeching and flapping its huge wings. Suddenly, its sharp talons swoop down at us. Hit the deck. Jump back. I frantically try to dodge the beast, hoping to avoid those terrifying 3-inch claws. I manage to avoid its blow, but I'm now cornered into the back of the room. As it inches near me for a strike, it rises up onto its hind legs once again, this time even higher than before. However, in a moment of blind luck, the griffin suddenly loses its balance on the slippery floor and comes crashing to the ground. Ugh. Wow, talk about close calls. I let out a breath of relief and stand over the griffin, wondering what to do next. So, you ugly little rat. Now who's stupid? Well, wait. Please, I beg you, kind, beautiful human girl. I'm aware of the valued information. If you promise to spare my life, I will tell you a special secret of the mansion. I don't know. You lied already, you bugger. I'd rather just kill you and have it be over with, Kid says, taking a step closer. Kid, let us hear what he has to say, Magil says, coming between them. Kid pauses for a second and then steps back. Thank you. That would have been fun. That would have been fun, Kid says, shrugging. One day you too may find yourselves within my situation, caged in on all sides. If such a fate comes to pass, remember these directions, and your lives shall be spared. Right 3 steps, left 2 steps, right 2 steps, and then you'll see. I better write that down. Right 3, left 2, right 2. Alright. No sooner than it says this, the griffin transforms back into a rat, scurrying off into a crack in the wall. I sure hope sparing that thing was worth it. Who knows when it'll sneak up on us next. Go forward. One plaque has been hung from the door. After a little ways, we're presented with a sturdy set of doors. A wooden plaque has been hung above the door frame. Only one word is written on it. Armory. Armory, eh? The key to the catacombs has got to be in here. Kid places her ear on the door. Not a peep. Turn back, go in. Of course we're going in. Someone is here, however. With a book in hand, a single goblin sits in a chair, humming to itself. A sweet aroma fills the room, presumably from the teacup on the table before it. Something different about this goblin. Doesn't seem hostile in the least. Looking up from its book, it examines us from behind its bifocals. Ah, welcome. It's rare to have visitors all the way down here. Too bad we're not guests, Kid shouts. If you want to live, tell us where the key to the catacombs is. And with that, Kid takes her knife and thrusts it into the desk, slicing through the tablecloth. Goblin remains docile. Ah, you must be the elusive Kid. I so wanted to see you with my own eyes. We've all heard so much about you. But before it could finish its sentence, Kid grabs the knife and hurls it through the air. The goblin sets its book down, now unreadable due to the 7-inch blade protruding through it. It removes the knife and places it on the table. Your reputation precedes you. You are quite a radical young lady. Nevertheless, it's a shame. I wanted to see how that novel ended up. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Esmeld, it says, offering a simple introduction. Please, I do hate to keep my guests standing at bay. Come, sit, and we shall converse over tea. My first thought is that it's poisoned. Despite my concerns, Magil sits down. Take a seat next to Magil. Look at Kid. Take a seat. Trusting Magil, I sit down next to him. Surely he's got something up his sleeve. Looking at Kid, she truly doesn't want anything to do with this. She remains standing, keeping a vigilant eye on Esmeld. Black tea is set out for the three at the table. Ah, there we are. After a moment, Magil takes his teacup. I said hiccup. After a moment, Magil takes the teacup and brings it slowly to his mouth. He takes a sip and then sets the cup back on the table. Esmeld smiles. Ah, Himalayan chimpanzee. I've not had this blend in quite some time, Magil says. I see you are a gentleman of fine taste. I will have you know, not many of my visitors have known of this type of black tea. Listening to their banter, I stare at my cup. Sorry. I drank a little too soon there. Yeah, he's a man of culture. That was Serge. Trying to gulp down the tea and choking on it. Alright, hold on. Oh. God, that's the worst thing in the world. Choking. Listening to their banter, I stare at my teacup. Could it really be poisoned? Picking up the teacup, I bring it close to my mouth. It doesn't smell so bad. Delicious, I exclaim. I never had anything like this before. I loosen up a bit, sitting back in my chair. Wait a second, what's going on? My wounds, they're being healed. Looking over towards Kid, she seems to be enjoying it as well. So, let's get down to business. Certainly the key to the catacombs has to be around here somewhere. Whether I remember where it is, however, that's a different story. Tough luck, give us the key. Is there something you'd like in exchange? Something I want. Your life, perhaps, he says, as his eyes light up from behind his glasses. Grab my knife. Oh, you misunderstand, young man. I do not wish to harm you, Esmeld says, noticing the sudden look of shock on my face. I enjoy chatting with the many types of visitors that we have in the mansion. Surely, as an adventurer, you must have plenty of interesting stories to tell. Adding to this, he looks at my direction with a smile. I look highly on unique stories and have been known to reward such storytellers. Staring down at this dark liquid before me, I start to rack my brain for a really good story. Okay, I've got it. On one particular evening, a small girl walked through a dark, dreary forest. The girl had searched everywhere and everywhere for the golden sunflower, the only cure for her mother's illness. The girl suddenly came across a large beetle. And so, after walking endlessly, the sunflower was nowhere to be found. After 3 days, the girl hadn't eaten a single thing. Fine beginning, perhaps. Is that all? No, on one evening, a girl walked through a forest searching for the only cure for her mother's... Alright. And suddenly before her, she came across a gold light shining in a clearing. It was the golden sunflower. The girl put a few of the sunflower seeds into her bag. She was sure it would cure her mother, she thought. However, it was all a dream. With a happy face, the girl awoke, ready to start another day. Oh, brother. A fairly interesting story. Very well. Here's the key. Esmel leans over to the wall and knocks on a certain spot. There, a secret trapdoor opens up. He reaches in and takes out a key. However, as I reach for the key, Esmel recoils his hand. Sighing, the goblin speaks. Yes, I suppose you could say there is something more that I wish for. I glance at Magil, then back to Esmeld. Long ago, when I was young, foolish lad, I was involved with General Viper's daughter, Miss Riddell. Riddell? The General's daughter? Oh, you didn't know. Indeed, Miss Riddell's true father was General Viper. Anyhow, for the sake of harnessing the power of the frozen flame, Lord Lynx abducted Miss Riddell, taking her in as his own daughter. With that strange rock lies a strong mental connection to this particular mistress. And so I have resided here all these years, silently waiting for the right time to exact revenge on Lord Lynx for taking my dear Miss Riddell from me. If you have come in order to find Lord Lynx, promise me you will not mention any of this. You have come here to slay him, have you not? Esmeld asks calmly, holding the key in his hand. For the time being, I suppose. Unfazed by the question, I answered truthfully. Well, this sure is a strange turn of events, hearing these things from a goblin who's supposed to be defending Viper Manor. All of a sudden, Kid interrupts. Hell with the time being. Yeah, that's our plan, all right. I see. Well, I certainly don't wish to detain you any longer. I would help you more, but I prefer not to openly side myself with either party, he says, handing us the key. Well, there is still something you got that there's still something you got that I want. Esmeld looks up, curious. How about some more of that great tea of yours? Esmeld thinks for a second, then reaches behind him. Very well, one bag, he says, reluctantly parting with the tea bag. Okay, leave it to us. Putting the tea bag down her bosom, Kid says to Esmeld, You don't have to worry about a thing. I never lie about my promises. Esmeld nods, smiling. Let's head out. Frozen Flame's bound to be around here somewhere, Kid says, heading for the door in high spirits. Magil pays his respects and we're off. Head up the stairs. We head up the narrow stairwell with Kid leading the way. Coming to the top, we're faced with a dimly lit corridor. We head down it quietly, masking our steps. Excuse me. Continuing on through the passage, we eventually come to a branch. If we turn left, we'll be taken back to the atrium. If we head straight, we'll go to the catacombs. We're going to the catacombs. Sorry. After that choke and all the talking, it's just like you get dry mouth and a lot of mucus building up. Okay, the goblin's key should open this door, Kid says, putting the key into the lock. With a click, the door unlocks. The door opens with a deep creak. Damp air creeps up from below, peering into the dark, decrepit place. I wonder how I ever got talked into coming to a place like this. We find ourselves in a long hallway, flanked on both sides by rows of countless jail cells. The cold iron bars stretch out in front of us endlessly. 1, 2. Oh, Gorba, Merkid, Zorander, forgive me. A quiet, sobbing voice seems to be coming from the third cell on the right. I peer around the corner into the cell. In this dim, damp space, an old man sits in solitude, quietly mumbling to himself. Hey, mister. Everyone, and it was all because of me. Every last one of the dragoons, Miss Riddell, even the general. Forgive me, please. Ignoring us, the old man continues to mutter, staring at the floor as he rocks back and forth. Hey, can you hear me? Kid says, shaking the bars a little. He will not hear a thing. He has constructed a wall around himself, Magil says. What do you mean? I ask Magil. A wall used for shielding one's mind from reality. After being exposed to horrific events, tremendous amounts of pain and guilt has this effect on a person. He has made a safe world inside his own mind, where he retreats into. From there, he refuses to acknowledge anything he does not want to admit. I notice that talking about this has given Magil a sort of sad, lost look in his face. Noticing my glance, he quickly turns from me. Strange. Magil somehow reminds me of Kid just then. When Magil turns back, his usual blank expression has returned. Does this make sense to you, Serge? Magil asks. Yeah, it does. Maybe if you gave me an easier explanation. Yeah, it does. Magil continues, looking at Kid and me. We rarely see the walls we're trapped within. However, given time, some can come to understand and possibly even break free of these shortcomings. I wait for Magil to finish, but he doesn't end up saying anything. I'd ask, but oh well. The mind revealing itself. We can't help this old geezer. Let's get back to work, Kid says, already heading for the door. Wait, Kid, Magil calls out. Somehow or another, we may yet find a way into this man's mind. What good'll that do? Didn't you hear what he was talking about? The dragoons, Riddell, General Viper. Oh, he's probably just into old folklore or something, Kid says, returning to the door. I have a feeling that his knowledge will prove to be useful. Certainly has heard something of importance concerning our situation, Magil says. Well, I guess we ought to help the old bloke out with his troubles while we're here. What do you say we do? Kid asks. Somehow we have to put an end to this. Say nothing, confused. Huh? Kid says, looking up. You got a problem with me? No, that's not what I meant. Before I can explain, Kid's fist suddenly flies into my face. Narrowly avoiding the blow, I look up to see Magil starting to speak again. We must find a way to reach beyond his wall. For every locked door, there exists a key, so to speak. We will never make any progress with this man until we know what lies in his past. What are you talking about? A key? What are you talking about, a key? Kid asks. I do not know either, Magil answers. However, there is at least one person in Viper Manor who does. Riddell. Indeed. Leaving the endless rows of cells behind, we head back to the passageway. Heading away from the catacombs, we eventually come to a split. Turning right heads back to the atrium, while proceeding to the stair straight will take us downward to the staircase. Well, we have to find Riddell wherever she is. After heading down the dark, dingy passageway for a while, I eventually start to smell the pungent odor of dead fish. We return to the atrium. Ahead of us, we see another archway, which will take us back to an upward staircase, and eventually links us in Riddell's quarters. I guess we'll go to her room again. We proceed to the dark passageway, but before long we're greeted with the beautiful ornate set of doors on the right. Yep. I should probably save. Yeah, I don't quite get Kid's reaction to that either. We come to a comfortably decorated room. Small trinkets, we've read this like a million times. Someone there? I instantly hide behind the door, trying to figure out where that voice came from. It sounded like a girl, but it wasn't Kid. Oh shit, it's the you had to do it to him guy. It's Lynx's adopted daughter, Riddell. It has to be her. Odd. I could have sworn I heard someone come in, she says. Apparently, she hasn't seen us yet. What do? I keep myself hidden behind the door. Suddenly, Kid bolts out from behind a chair. She silently comes up behind Riddle, putting a knife to her throat. We've come for the frozen flame. Where is it? Kid asks. Kid yells in a low, strict voice. Kid, there's no need to be like that, I say, trying to calm her down. Quiet, Serge. Riddle giggles at the two of us. What's so funny? Kid says in a tight tone. Oh, come on, you can't be thieves. You're far too noisy. I wouldn't be saying such things if I was you. Well then, go ahead and cut me. At that moment, I picture in my head Riddle collapsing with a blue face smeared in blood. Kid, look at her. She's not going to hurt us. Damn it. All right. Still, don't think I'm not keeping an eye on you. The feeling is mutual, Riddle says. Don't worry, we're not your enemies. We're not after your power, I say to Riddle, trying to keep cool. We've just come to talk. If there's anything you could tell us about the Frozen Flame, or perhaps the Acacia Dragoons. Hearing those words, a somber look comes over Riddle's face. After a moment, she begins to speak. The Frozen Flame. It was kept in a kingdom to the north for centuries, legend has it. With its subtle, mysterious power, it allegedly could guide people and change history, all while somehow remaining elusive to those who sought it. Or so I've heard. At the time of that kingdom's downfall, it was seized from its resting place, passed from hand to hand. Finally, it came into possession of my father, General Viper. Lynx approached my father as a friend years ago. Blindly trusting him, my father was taken advantage of by Lynx, unable to realize his true intentions. And so, on that fateful day, struck down by his alleged friend, my father was robbed and left for dead. Averting her eyes, Riddle buries her face in her hands. I didn't know Lynx was behind all this at the time he took me into custody. I was just a child. That cursed rock. I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't want to. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I want nothing more than to see all this come back to an end, or see all this come to an end, she says with tears in her eyes. I'm taken aback hearing those words. Suddenly, Macaw comes forward to speak. Do you know of the old man who's currently locked away in the catacombs? That traitor. Because of him, my father. My dear Zorander. Please, miss. Turning her back on us, Riddle pauses. After a moment, she turns around, letting out a deep sigh. Yes, I know of the man of whom you speak. He's an Acacia Dragoon, is he not? Macaw asks. He was, before he spent countless days and nights locked up in the torture chamber, losing his mind as well as his identity in the process. I remember the day they removed him from that dreadful room, beaten within an inch of his life. The torture chamber you speak of. It is the room upstairs to the trapped ceiling, correct? Riddle nods silently. Perhaps we may find a clue to his past there, says Macaw. I'd hoped it wouldn't come to this. If you must search that room, be sure you have Einlanzer with you before you do. The Einlanzer. What? It's a holy white sword created long ago by ancient sages along with its demonic brother, the Masamune. It was the Acacia Dragoon's most prized weapon. It once glided through the air in Zorander's hand, shimmering like a star. Now, however, the Dragoons are all but extinct, and the sword has been stored somewhere in this mansion, as though it were some sort of trivial memento. It's much more than a common sword, though. Shielded by its magical enhancement, its barrel will be protected against many forms of evil. Thinking of those memories of days long gone, again, Riddle hangs her head in sadness. I wish I could be more of a help to you. I apologize. Nah, that was plenty, Kid says, heading out the room. But I wish I was more powerful, like you people, Riddle says, biting her lip. Stopping in the doorway, Kid looks over her shoulder. Strength didn't get us here. Power comes from believing in yourself. I see. I wish you luck. As she heads out of the room, Kid mutters, "Hope it ain't bad luck." Mirror the passageway stretches to the right and the left. Ugh. Heading to the right will take us to Lincoln's corners, while turning left will take us back to the ascending staircase. Well, now we're completely lost because we have no idea where the Einlanzer is. So we need to go back up to the torture room while also getting the Einlanzer. What? Lynx! What? Lynx is here. I rush into the room behind Kid, unsheathing my knife in a flash of adrenaline. Where is he? Beside me, Kid says, "Gotcha." Oh, gotcha. Oh, she was joking. Were you scared? She asks, giggling. Oh, sheesh, don't do that to me. Has Lord Lynx returned to the room? A high alto voice asks. Kid and I also glance at each other, giggling. No, he isn't here right now. Ah, Master Surge, is there something I can answer for you? The statue asks in a pleasant voice. Or perhaps you'd be interested in this lovely gift I have for you. Huh? A gift? Only a modest token of my appreciation for you and your comrades. I present you with a personal invitation to the realm of the Looking Glass, if you are interested. Wow, really? Yes, but we must hurry. Time is of the essence. I look towards the dark, rippling surface of the mirror. Slowly, I reach my hand out towards it. It feels like my hand is being submerged in water, passing straight into the mirror. Suddenly, there's a slight pull. I try to retract my arm, but the harder I pull, the further I seem to be getting drawn in. Master Surge, take your hand out, quickly! Just then, a crack streaks across the mirror. What's going on? Amidst my struggling, I see a crack start to streak down the mirror's glass. Save yourself, Master Surge. Please, before I'm forced to consume you. What? Kid starts pulling with me. Despite the increasing force drawing me in, I'm now to my shoulder in this thing. On the count of 3, I yell. 1, 2, 3. We tumble backwards, falling onto the couch. I look at my arm in a daze. It's fine. Shaking myself off, I return to the mirror, now even more cracked since I last saw it. Lynx planned to seal you all in the mirror, the statue says, sobbing. Each time it speaks, another crack seems to be running into it. This isn't all. I had alerted Lord Lynx of your presence long before you had known of me. Why? Lynx has already taken away everything I have. He refused to allow me to leave Viper Manor, coercing me into the Be Mansion's eyes and ears, promising he would set me free someday. He refused to allow me to leave Viper Manor, coercing me into being the mansion's eyes and ears, promising he would someday set me free. Hanging her head low, the Venus statue speaks in a quiet, solemn voice. However, it was simply another one of Lord Lynx's schemes. No freedom is worth stealing another's for. I would rather destroy myself than become another murderer. As yet another crack appears, a large piece of the mirror breaks off, falling to the ground. No, don't, I yell, grasping at the mirror. A huge crack streaks across the entire mirror, preventing me from seeing almost any of the statue. The statue's lips can be seen moving faintly from behind a now heavily cracked mirror, but no words can be heard. I silently bend down and gather up all the shards. Putting them on the desk, I look into the kaleidoscope of reflections. Surge? From behind me, I hear Kid's voice. Let's go, mate. As I leave the room, I quietly look over my shoulder, looking at the smashed mirror. I stop for a second, hoping to hear a voice, but all I hear is silence. Riddle sits over on the sofa, lost in thought. She seems to be staring at something in an armrest nearby. Coming over to her, I see it's a faded photograph. She looks up, kindly beckoning us to come over. Excuse me, for frig's sake. Is there something the matter? Well, about that sword. Yes, the ancient holy sword Einlanzer. I do not know where it has been stored, but I do know it can be of use when confronting the evils of the torture chamber. Okay, gotcha, Kid says, heading back to the door. Be careful, Riddle says in a sweet voice. At the door, Kid comes to a stop. Not turning around, Kid asks Riddle, Hey darling, think you could lend us a hand and tap into that special power of yours you were talking about before? Riddle remains silent. Well, why is that old man locked up down there? Looking downward, still Riddle says nothing. Humph. Keep silent if you want, but remember, we're not your tools of vengeance. We act out of our own will. Don't underestimate us, Kid says. I know, Riddle answers in a whisper. As we leave, I can't help but feel sorry for her. Looking at her through the doorway, she sits motionless, staring at the floor. Yeah. I guess back to the atrium. Oh man, where could this fucking sword be? Maybe it's in the ballroom since there's nothing happening in there. We went to the study already. Ballroom. There we go. Nope, still nothing there. Masamune. I mean, that's how it's pronounced. Masamune. And that's, the sword that Frog has in Chrono Trigger. So there is, like, weapon lore and stuff. Sorry, I'm losing my thoughts here. I'm just kind of zoning out for a second. It's been almost an hour and a half. And this is a very text-heavy game, so... No, we don't want to go down. Study, maybe? Okay, there's nothing there. Maybe there's something. Maybe going out on the terrace will give us some hints. I realized something. Even when I'm holding down fast forward, the wind sound effect doesn't seem to be speeding up. Like you could still hear it normally. Alright, they're not saying anything new. As we continue the passageway, everything's going normal until, suddenly, something drops onto my hood. I run my fingers through it and manage to peel off a cold, slimy object. I look up at the ceiling. There's thousands of the disgusting little black things up there. Leeches! Ah! The slimy, blood-sucking animals continue to fall on our bodies as we panic more and more. We desperately try to shake them off, but it's hopeless. There's too many of them. They crowd around us, homing in on our presence from every direction. From the ceiling, the walls, the floor. Everywhere. We gotta turn around. However, looking back the way we came, a countless number have started to crowd around the passageway behind us as well, blocking our only exit. We gotta get out of here, Kid yells. Make a run for it. Carefully tiptoe out of here. Make a run for it. I can't stand this anymore. Gotta get out of here now. I start to bolt down the slimy, leech-filled corridor as fast as I can. As the leeches continue to rain on us, wiggling their way down our shirts, sucking our blood with their tiny teeth, I continue to run and run and run. We frantically scurry down the passageway, worried for dear life. Squishing their damp bodies under my feet, I suddenly take a bad step and slip on one of them, sending me flat on my back. Ah! Coming up from behind, Kid doesn't seem to see me. Kid, I yell, but it's too late. Unable to stop in time, she topples over me, falling onto the leech-covered floor, too. Surge! Standing up, we try to clean ourselves off, but it's useless. I'm barely able to get any of the bloodsuckers off me before more and more begin to drop down from the ceiling onto us. I've never been in anything half as foul as this. Ever. Ugh. Oh no, two have squirmed into my mouth. They wiggle around violently as they latch themselves onto my tongue. Ack. I spit the mouthful out and suppress the urge to open my mouth and scream again, despite the sharp pain now in my mouth from the cuts they've left. Yikes. Suddenly, something strange happened. The leeches all simultaneously begin to squirm out from under my clothes, hair, and skin, heading back away from us. They travel a few feet down the corridor, and there begin to accumulate into some sort of mass. What the? As the last few leeches wake their way over to the mass, it starts to form into a humanoid shape. The figure solidifies later into some sort of blue monster holding a huge scythe. The polished scythe suddenly comes arcing through the air, aimed straight at me. Duck, parry, duck. I instantly duck down low, hoping to avoid the huge scythe. However, the demon easily anticipates my move and sifts the scythe downward at the very last moment. Ah! Blood spurts out of my shoulder as the demon recoils. I grasp the wound, hoping to stop the blood. Suddenly, leeches start to come out from behind the demon, inching their way towards us once again. This can't be real, Kid shouts, shutting her eyes tightly. Suddenly, the leeches vanish into thin air. They must be nothing more than illusions, says Mush. Attack, size it up, run. I switch my knife around for a backhanded attack as the demon grins a disgusting smile at me. The second I see it break its focus, I lash out with my weapon. However, my dead-on attack only seems to graze the demon's skin. What are you smiling at, freak? Kid yells as it gives a twisted, fang-laden smile. I clean the sweat off my brow and try to keep focused. However, I can't help but notice the demon's eyes amidst all of this. They've got such an unsettling quality to them, almost as though this thing harbors some sort of unimaginable intelligence. Wait, what am I saying? I can't get lost in that thing's mind now. Everybody knows these things can trap your spirit with their eyes alone. All of a sudden, the demon starts to mutter something. Just a second later, it bursts into flames. In a few moments, the flames die out, and the demon is no more, gone without a trace. What the? A vague uneasiness sets in as I look around. Not a single scrap of evidence remains from that entire encounter. Was any of that even real? I really think I'm starting to get the hang of this whole fighting thing. I'm barely hurt at all. Got a thing or two to learn, but you're getting there, mate. Wait, I won? That's weird. What the fuck happened? Oh, nice. The sword on the ground. We rush over towards the sword, looking down at it. Magil starts to speak. This may be what we're looking for. By the looks of it, this sword could be the fabled Holy Einlanzer, or perhaps the demonic Masamune. Wow, Magil, you know about the Masamune? Yeah, of course he would. Did you ever know its owner? Yes. Was he your mate? So he was one of your enemies then? No. Nice, they're talking about Glenn. I like how the game, like, it doesn't directly mention the characters, but it's very they vaguely imply who it is. So, like, Masamune obviously was Frog/Glenn. The person that raised Kid is Luca. Well, Serge, take this thing. Huh? Come on, you don't expect a fair maiden like me to carry this bulky thing over the place, do ya? Well, fair maiden, swallow my pride and pick it up. Fair maiden. Without a moment's notice, Kid punches me straight in the stomach. I tumble to the ground in a daze. Well, what are you doing? Humph. Kid snorts, turning the other way. I look over to Magil for sympathy, but he offers none, as usual. Hurry up and take it, Serge. It'll be morning soon, you dummy. I struggle to my feet, reluctantly picking up the sword. Jeez, this thing is heavy. Okay, let's get our arses to that bloody torture chamber. I can almost smell the floors in flame from here. I struggle to drag the heavy sword out of the room, still dizzy from the blow. Head to the right. And we'll go up the stairs. I look up, remembering the deadly ceiling. I'm definitely not going to repeat the mistake of overstaying my welcome here, especially after hearing what Riddell had to say. I save time. Yeah, now pour one out for Luca. Fuck. What an awful, awful fate for her. I'm starting to get dizzy. Somewhere inside this room, there has to be something that will bring the old man back. But what? Just as I thought, Magil says dryly, examining the cracks on the floor. Kid and I walk over, kneeling down to where he's at. Between the cracks of the floor stones, there's a thick, smelly, butter-like substance that's been jammed into it, among the stains of blood. Without warning, the door suddenly slams shut, yet again. It started again. Okay, what do we do? We have to use the sword somehow, Kid yells, her voice almost inaudible thanks to the ceiling's deafening screech. But how? Thrust the sword into the ceiling, thrust the sword into the floor, thrust the sword into Kid. Are you kidding? No, oh my god. Into the floor. With as much power as I can muster, I lift the heavy sword up and plunge it into the crack in the center of the floor. A huge jolt runs through the room. Bolts of light scatter in all four directions from the sword, running along the floor, then up the walls. Reaching the ceiling, the deadly contraption groans and then comes to a halt. Exhausted and relieved, I collapse to the floor. After a minute, I catch my breath and open my eyes. Strange. Now that I take another look at the inscription we found earlier, there's a certain stone just beside it that didn't seem to have any cement around it. We walk over to it. Kid tugs on it and finds that it's loose. Removing the heavy stone, a dim, glistening light can be seen from far within the hole. Kid reaches in and carefully removes the shimmering object. A beautifully decorated gold ring sits in the palm of her hand. It's adorned with a slender set of leaves, like those of a fern, decorated with 5 small rubies around it. The Acacian coat of arms, Magil says. Kid tries the ring on, but strangely enough, it doesn't seem to fit any of her fingers. This ring must mean something to the old man. We could use it to break through his wall, couldn't we? I excitedly ask Magil, already knowing the answer. He nods in silence. Yeah, this has to be it. Abandoning the islands are now proudly standing upright like a beacon of light amongst this dismal room. We hurry out of the torture chamber, hopefully never to return again. Okay, time to move. All of a sudden, a chilly wind blows past me. Not only that, but also a thick fog has started to accumulate all around us. We're in trouble. It swirls around us faster and faster. After a few moments, it coagulates before me, forming into some sort of humanoid shape. It's a poltergeist. Don't move. Kid's whispering does nothing but add to my increasing feelings of fear and dread. How are we supposed to fight something that doesn't even have a body? From beside me, a low voice starts to echo throughout a dim hallway. It's Magil. He seems to be starting some sort of incantation. But what am I going to do in the meantime? Try to escape. Hope to scare it off by unsheathing my knife. Hide behind Magil. Try to escape. Oh, shit, I took too long. Damn it, I don't know what to do. It's starting to draw closer. Oh no, it's coming faster and faster. Its body begins to diffuse as it approaches, surrounding us with thick haze. I'm starting to feel lightheaded. Suddenly, I feel incredibly tired. I open my eyes only to see that there's a chilly fog all around me. It must be starting to drain my life force. I have to stop it before it sucks me dry. I try to dissipate the fog by waving my arms around, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything. Getting so tired. Cold air hits me as though I've been thrown into an ice-cold lake. Beyond the thick haze, I can just now barely make out the figures of Kid and Macaw. I'm getting more and more tired. What do you think his kid did? Don't you think Kid has thick ankles, Surge? What the heck is Macaw mumbling about? Huh? I ask after a moment, scratching my head. Yeah, those cankles couldn't get any worse, I answer immediately. Milk, milk, lemonade, I start to recite playfully. Oh. Oof! Having Kid kick me in the back of the head is more than enough to snap me out of these delusions. Oh, alright. So responding with the answer that made Kid angry at me is how I recover from that. Damn it, Surge, bloody snap out of it. Okay, I think I'm alright now. I groan as I feel the life energy being drained from my body. Sanity unraveling. Where am I? Surge, the cat's asleep, Macaw says to me. What the? Anaconda, I reply immediately. What? I ask confused. I think it's a 34B cup. I say after a moment. How can you be so sure? After going through her clothes one time, I saw the tag. Oof! Damn it, I forgot Kid's here too. Cold air hits me as though I've been thrown... Wait, what? Oh, my aching head. I open my mouth, but all that comes out is gibberish. I groan as I feel the life energy being drained from my body. Sanity unraveled. Frig. Kid instantly jumps back upon hearing this. Accidentally, she collides with the wall, falling down in the process. Getting up, she comes over and slaps me in the face. The cold air hits me as though I've been... What the fuck is going on? Suddenly, I seem to snap out of it, realize I'm not dead yet. Beside me, I see Macaw standing completely still, holding the back of my neck as he chants. Then all of a sudden, a powerful-looking burst of energy shoots out from his other hand, blazing towards the poltergeist. The searing hot burst of psychic force brushes by my face, almost singeing me as it collides with the shrieking enemy. The apparition rides about in the air, violently injured. It looks as though it's boiling all over. Ugh. Surge. Hey, Surge, you still with us? I hear as I realize someone's slapping me again and again. Kid. Dazed, I stumbled back onto my feet. All this magic is making me dizzy. I had to counter the poltergeist's attack directly through your body, Surge. I had to counter the poltergeist's attack directly through your body, Surge, Macaw says. You will survive. Come on, what are we waiting around for? Kid stammers Blakely. Kneeling down, I rest for a minute to tend to my wounds. Hey, no whining. You're not that bad, mate. I've seen worse hangovers than how you look right now. I wish I had her determination. After I finished applying my bandages, I get up, hoping I'll be okay. I can't start to give up now, but boy, these cuts are really starting to hurt. Damn it, Surge. When are you gonna bloody grow up and start fighting like a man? Kid's glare shoots at me like an icy lance. I swallow a dry gulp and continue down the corridor behind her. No matter how many times I return here, I don't think I'll ever get more used to this place. Wait, what? Why does it turn back the first option? We return to the old man. Macaw walks up to the cell and grasps the iron bars. He positions his feet and starts to pull away at the bars with an incredible intensity. After a moment, the bars start to bend like taffy. Macaw enters first through the newly created opening. Kid follows, kneeling down before the mumbling old man. Putting her hands on the old man's shoulders, Kid tries to look into his eyes, but he continues to stare at the floor. Frustrated, she starts to shout at him, shaking him vigorously. Come on, old fella, get up. The old man's head shakes back and forth like a rag doll's, but his eyes remain averted. Try to stop Kid, ask Madrigal if what she's doing is right. Do not worry, Madrigal says. This may also prove to be helpful. But is it right to force him out of his wall for our own sake? The fate of the Acacia Dragoons has been woven into our own, Madrigal answers simply. And with that, just as Madrigal says the word Acacia, a glimmer streaks into the old man's eyes. He looks up quickly, apparently waiting for something. Oh man, he's been hearing us talk the entire time. Quick, Kid, show him the ring. Kid takes the ring from her pocket and shows it to the man. The ring, he says, the ring, he says in a voice so quiet it's barely audible. However, his eyes quickly return to their murky state. Finally, my allies, you have returned. Because of me, the frozen flame was seized, and I've desecrated the name of the Acacia Dragoons. I am the only one left, but you have returned. Ah, Merkid, Zorander, now that we are once again united, let us all head back to Stake Lake. Geez, listen, mister. The frozen flame, where is it? Any small hint will help. Come on. Frozen flame? The old man asks. A warm smile streaks across his face. Ah, my dear Miss Riddell, I have not seen you in quite some time. Surely you have not forgotten the secret entranceway? Yeah. You think you could tell me about that again, Gramps? Kid asks, trying to sound as ladylike as possible. In the ballroom, third candlestick on the left. Kid hugs the old man, ecstatic, and so he resumes his mumbling in that distant, shuddering voice. Please forgive me, for your father. I beg you, Riddell. The Dragoons. It's high time for you to bust on out of here, old man, Kid says, pointing at the bent iron bars. However, he once again refuses to look up. Come on, we've done all we can here. He's got to walk through these bars himself. Thanks, old-timer. Turn right. Take the stairs. Ballroom time. Before I enter, save again. We finally have a use for this room. Oh, okay. Third one to the left, Kid says quietly. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. As Kid slowly pushes against the candlestick, it starts to move slowly. What's going on? I stammer, trying to brace myself. This entire room is slowly sinking into the ground, Madrigal says. The ballroom is sinking? All of it? Suddenly the room starts to fall much faster. Chills run down my spine as I look around, seeing the paintings smacking against the walls and the candles dropping to the floor. As I start to get used to the sinking sensation, my heart fills with a violent mixture of anxiety, expectation, and hope. What awaits us at the bottom? The frozen flame. Could it really be down here? Is this our adventure's end? What if we actually take it into our hands? Kid, Madrigal, I wonder what they're feeling right now. As the room continues to sink underground like an elevator to hell, I start to hear Kid speak in a soft, meek voice. Whoops. Sometimes I do struggle to win, even when I know I've already lost. Just like that lady said. Why do I do that? Looking over at her, I realize this isn't the Kid I usually see. There, a faint, shy smile can be seen across her face. Suddenly, I feel something so powerful go through me, it feels like a wave of fire surging through my heart. Why bring us here, Kid? Is it fate? Fate? Life? I don't even know anymore. With Lynx, nothing's set in stone. But sometimes it feels like there's something inside of me, guiding me. No matter what I do, it won't matter because I'll know it'll be showing me what to do next. Bah, what am I saying? Crazy talk, Kid says, smiling faintly. I don't know what to feel hearing this. Kids always put on a strong face no matter what, seemingly embracing terror when it comes. But right now, I can't help but feel the weight of the situation bearing down on us. If you take these matters with a grain of salt like Kid seems to, it's easy to live a day-to-day life like she does. As I look in her face, that strange expression of hers relieves me. I'm sorry. All this talk, it ain't me, Kid says, scrunching her nose. Instantly returning to her serious gaze, she says, but thanks, Serge, Magil, for coming here. Because of this, maybe down the road I'll have another chance. Huh? Nothing. Forget it, Kid says as she closes her eyes, smiling. As usual, she sends me into deep thought. While only barely visible, Magil stands silently amongst the shadows, effortlessly balanced with closed eyes. As I look around at my companions, I wonder what awaits us. We share a calm silence in our hearts as we continue to descend far below ground. Suddenly, a metallic grinding sound can be heard from all around us. The room comes to a stop, swaying a bit. Guess this is our stop, Kid says with a hollow laugh, excuse me. I stand motionless, staring at Kid and Magil in the dim, flickering luminescence. Suddenly, the organ comes to life. Looking back towards the monstrous thing, no one is even near it. Nevertheless, it continues to play its strange, twisted tune, the keys and pedals moving wildly on their own. Sounds like a funeral march. Heh, just kidding. Bad joke, Kid. Alright, let's do this, Kid says, taking a deep breath as she heads for the door. I glance at Magil, nodding my head as we follow her out. It's a funeral march, alright. Lynx's, that is. We start down the long, dark path in front of us. The air down here carries a thick stench of death. Somewhere further down this passageway, Lynx's subterranean hideout awaits. Kid's got a strange look on her face. I can't imagine what must be going through her head right now. Magil, on the other hand, I can never read him. But still, we usually talk a little, lightening things up. But right now, nobody's making a sound. I try to offer some conversation, hoping to avoid the increasing tension. So what really is this frozen flame thing? Why are we after the frozen flame? My question is not met with nothing but a cold gaze from Kid. There's no response from her. Actually, now that I think about it, I haven't had Kid talk about much of anything in her past ever. But then, just as I think I'm not going to be answered, she starts to speak. I made a promise with my big sis to get the frozen flame and bury it for her. Bury it for her? Where? At her old friend's grave. Kid looks down at her feet, continuing. I was still little at the time, so I can't remember much of it, but there was this friend of hers who she'd grown up with who died a while back. She said she wanted him to be able to rest with the frozen flame. I don't know what she meant by that, but after that what happened at the temple, I vowed to get my revenge and honor what she wanted. I guess they're talking about Chrono. I stay silent, not knowing what kind of reply to offer. I should have talked more about it before I got you involved in everything, I guess, she says after a while. It's bad, Serge. With nothing but the sound of our footsteps echoing around us, we continue on deeper and deeper into the passageway. Suddenly, Magil comes to a stop. Don't move. Huh? Kid and I look around suspiciously. Around us, bones are scattered in all directions. Many of them have been cut cleanly in half. Looking around amidst the dim light, I start to see that the walls have been splattered with blood. Then, suddenly, a trace of light catches my eye from behind. There's a bolt of electricity approaching us, sparkling like a lit fuse on the ground. Coming within a few feet of us, the spark splits off into two, forming a circle around us. Once the circle is complete, an odd glow starts to shine at our feet. Then, from where the sparks had traced, light shoots upwards, forming a wall of light around us. It's a devil circle. We try to move, but we find ourselves caught within the rays of light. That's a familiar sounding noise. Whoa. Man, Surge looks weird here. With the scalding, noisy winds all around us, all I see are rays of shimmering light in every direction I look. What do I do? I can't see anything in all this light. Macaw grabs me by the shoulder and returns me to the center of the circle. Thankfully, he seems to be able to see just fine. His mask is probably shielding his eyes from the radiance. There is always a way out of a devil circle. You must find the gaps to walk through. If you say so. Suddenly, Kid Elbows grazes one of the walls. Sparks scatter in all directions. She instantly snaps her arm back, wincing in pain. Unable to see any gaps whatsoever, I hesitantly start to make my way towards the blinding wall of light. 2 steps to the left. Take 3 steps to the left. Take 2 steps to the right. Take 3 steps to the right. Try to forcefully break through. Come on, to the right a little. There. Come on now. It was right, left, right, and it was 3-2-2 or 3-3-2. From where we stood, a small gap in the wall can be seen all of a sudden. Holding my breath, I leap into it with my arms shielding my face. Alright, we made it through. However, I open my eyes only to see even more of these glimmering walls swirling before us. Unable to see any gaps, I hesitantly start to make my way towards the blinding wall of light. I believe it's 2 steps to the left? Got to go to the left a little. There. Come on now. From where we stand, a small gap in the wall can be seen all of a sudden. Holding my breath, I leap into it with all my arms shielding my face. Alright, we made it through. Yeah. And lastly, 2 steps to the right, I believe. To the right, slowly. There, come on now. From where we stand, a small gap in the wall can be seen all of a sudden. Holding my breath, I leap into it with my arms shielding my face. Yep, we did it. That Griffin's words came in handy. I scurry away from I scurry away from the blood-curdling thing as fast as I can. Looking back, I see it vanish with a puff of smoke just as quickly as it arrived. The wind instantly dies down as well, and the dust and grime that was blowing around falls back to the floor in a flash. Everything is returned to a quiet stillness. Too quiet. And so, heading down the hallway further and further, eventually... At last. Kid steps toward the mighty set of doors, letting out a sigh of relief. Beyond this door, the frozen flame. From behind his mask, Macaw's eyes let loose a cool radiance. Okay, let's go, Kid says eagerly, grasping the handle. Whoa. The cavern sprawls out to great lengths before our eyes, a forgotten world hidden deep below ground. And with the scarlet radiance, a single small gem shimmers in the darkness. The frozen flame. Finally, we're here. The jewel shimmers warmly, almost as if it's responding to Kid's voice. Taking a few steps into the moist cavern. Moist. I don't know why people hate the word moist. It's not that bad. Macaw whispers, remarkable. Intact ruins of a lost magical kingdom. Just as I start to ask Macaw what he means, a taunting laugh can be heard from high above us. Lynx. Kid immediately pulls out her knife and hurls it through the air with all her might. As it approaches Lynx, he easily swats it out of the way, almost too quickly for me to see. Always the same. Such a savage little girl. Can't you give a gentleman an honest greeting? You bastard, Kid interrupts. And what have we here? The notorious Shadow Walker. I wouldn't be trying anything like last time if I were you. Beside me, I see Macaw come to a complete stop. Ugh. Look at that fucking face. Jesus. Lord Lynx, Viper Manor's deadly owner. The very same man who murdered Kid's sister, deceived Riddle's father, and eradicated the Acacia Dragoons. Welcome back, Kid. I see that you have successfully taken the bait. Gluttonous as ever. What? Kid says hesitantly, stepping back. Excuse me. I gotta stop apologizing every time I fall the line. I'm also very getting tired because it's been 2 hours now. I've been speaking almost the entire time. Lynx stares down at her with those frighteningly piercing eyes of his, looking nothing like the cat he looks in Chrono Cross. You see, Kid, I brought you here because of the rock you carry. Which rock? Surely you remember, the one you received from your sister, all those years ago. The priceless keepsake you carry with you dearly, even now. The Chrono Trigger. How'd you know about that? Kid's gaze returns to a scowl. No matter. We're here for the frozen flame. You're finished, you bastard. Yes, toss your little threats around. But remember, no matter how many times you think you have won, I have generously demonstrated how gravely you are mistaken. And with that, Lynx unsheathes his beautiful golden saber. Previously, I've overlooked doing away with you, letting you scurry on with your pathetic little life. However, this time I may not be so generous. Kid takes another step back, glaring at Lynx as he approaches. Lynx, you murderer. I'll never forgive you for Luca. This ends here and now. And so Kid leaps into the air in a fit of rage, aiming a kick between Lynx's eyes. However, just as she reaches him, he swiftly dodges. Kid stands there, wondering how she could have missed. Beside her, Lynx laughs, taunting her. Jumping up once again, Kid lets loose a fierce kick. Skimming the tip of his nose, her kick cuts through nothing but air. In a parry attack, Lynx sends his razor-sharp golden saber through the air. But Kid's already leapt back. The two face each other, only a few feet apart. If only you had been a bit faster, Kid, Lynx says, smiling. All of a sudden, a line of red streaks across Kid's face. Kid? Wiping off the blood, Kid angrily rushes Lynx in a flash through the air. Effortlessly dodging, Lynx drives a sword into her back as soon as she lands. Kid bends back in an alarming pain. Somehow staying on her feet, she stumbles back and readies herself to charge again. Stupid little brat. Lynx lands an elbow onto Kid's shoulder, knocking her clear down to the ground. I feel her pain from the pit of my stomach as I start to see blood trickling from her lips. Good thing I have throat lozenges, because I'm going to need one after the stream. What's wrong, little girl? Once again, Kid tries to lash out at Lynx, but he easily kicks her, sending her back into a pile of rubble. Lynx then looks upward, focusing its concentration on the ceiling. As I look up, I see a number of rocks have become dislodged from the cavern, tumbling down onto her. Kid! I call out to her as I start to rush over. Just as I start to, I see Madgel's already there. He streaked across for the shadows, putting himself between Lynx and Kid. Saying nothing, Lynx shoots a thread of white light out of his fingertips. The thread-like substance entangles Magel, binding his feet together. He hits the ground with a thud. In a dazzling radiance, a countless number of threads fly out from Lynx's fingertips. They immobilize Magel completely, leaving only his head visible. How does that feel, Shadow Walker? Have you felt my web start to drain your life energy yet? Lynx says, smiling ominously. Grrr. Kid. Magel, what am I going to do? Stand to Lynx, try to free Magel, help Kid. Oh, man. Let's help Kid. Kid! She looks over towards me. With blood trickling from her mouth, she only moves a little. Kid, are you alright? She lies there motionless, wincing painfully. Serge. It's okay, Kid. I'm here for you. How kind. However, I think you should be more concerned with your own well-being, young man. And I see chill runs down my spine as I hear the evil voice behind me. I stand up and turn around. So you, whoever you are, opposing me is quite useless, as you obviously have seen. It's funny how that Surge has, like, no connection to Lynx in this game, when in Chrono Cross, he pretty much has the most direct connection to Lynx. Since Lynx is actually, you know, his father. And in a flash, Lynx grabs me by the neck. Ah, shit. He strangles me with his long, disgusting fingers. Then he starts to lift me up by my neck. Struggling for air, I painfully hang there, unable to tear myself free of his powerful grip. Look, kid. Look at your pathetic little companion suffering. You can make all this stop if you want. With blood dripping from her lips, Kid opens one of her eyes. Painfully gasping and coughing, she lifts her head up to us. She still wants to get up, but she's hurt far too badly. Surge. Hand over the chrono trigger, kid. Little do you know, but that rock is actually a tiny condensed universe. When combined with the frozen flame, it gains the power to bend space-time, allowing its owner to reshape history. This all could have never happened if you'd merely wish it. Saying this, Lynx looks towards me, expressionless. And what about you, young man? Perhaps you wish to know where the chrono trigger is? He asks, tightening his grip. Surge, what are you going to do, kid? Can you afford to let this little boy die without helping? How will it feel to have his blood on your hands? As Lynx grasps tighter and tighter, I find myself starting to lose it. Lynx's face becomes a blur. Suddenly, Kid's voice snaps me back to attention. I'm sorry, Surge. What should I do? Don't give in to him. Don't give it to him. Do what he wants, kid. Don't give it to him. Don't do it! My consciousness. Fading. Ah, that's it. Surge. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I can hear Kid call out to me, but her voice continues to fade, getting further and further away. Kid. Oh. This was the right choice. Oh, what? That's the end? What the fuck? Was that the only... What? Okay. I'm really confused. Was that a bad ending, or was that the only ending? So Yasunori Mitsuda did do the music for this game, which means that even though he didn't do... Because I don't think he did Chrono Crosses, but technically he did, because some of this music's used in Chrono Cross. I think. I'm not sure. Alright, I see what it is. If your affection with Kid is high enough, she gives up the stone no matter what. In other words, I didn't do enough to bond with her, which is weird. Like, the idea of that happening is like how do you do that? Yeah, that's it. That's the bad ending. Now here's the question: do I want to sit through everything again just to try to get the good one? Somehow that's the end. Well, that kind of sucked. And there's nothing I could do, too, because I'm, like, saved right before that spot. We'll figure something out. In the meantime, we'll start doing the alternate stuff. Which apparently there is, like, a bunch of other scenarios that could play out. However, while walking behind Kid, so this is the thing now. If you go, you get these options here. While walking behind Kid, I can't help but notice her ponytail endlessly swishing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I'm starting to get sleepy, so sleepy. So, if you say I can't fall asleep, not now, you do the game as normal. If you pick sleep, you get to do pretty much the rest of the endings. From what I could tell, there's a bunch. Most of these are going to be either jokey or like just non-canon. Sleep. So we'll do those, and then I don't know. Maybe we'll just watch the real ending on YouTube, because it doesn't seem like there's going to be another stream of this at this rate. Surge, huh? Snap out of it, lazy bones. Looking up, the tall, shadowy mansion of Lord Lynx looms before me. I can't believe we're there already. I must have been really out of it. The hell were you daydreaming about, mate? Let's go, Kid says, disappearing into the mansion. Hey, wait up, Kid, I shout, frantically chasing after her. However, she's already deep inside. The darkness engulfs me. So essentially, by falling asleep, you activate an alternate version of the mansion with different endings. What was that? Could have swore I just saw a faint light illuminating the hallway just then. Probably just the moonlight shining into the skylight, I tell myself. However, looking up at the ceiling, no such skylight can be found. Hey, Surge, what are you staring at? We got a job to do here. I look down at the hallway only to see Kid, already barely visible at the door. Down the long corridor, excuse me. Take another second to see about that light. There's something here, I'm sure of it. There's a faint light, sort of like a camera flash, but much more subtle. It couldn't have been the moonlight. Surge, what are you, paralyzed? Come on, Kid says, coming back towards me. There's something here, Kid. Just as I start to think of what it could be, my imagination. Just as I start to think of what it could have been. What could have been my... Oh, my God, I'm sorry. Just as I start to think of that, it could have been my imagination. Suddenly... Wearing a tattered old priest's robe, a figure of a young lady materializes above us. Finally, you have come. That voice, it's so strange. It's like it's resonating inside my head. Kid, can you hear that? I'm not even sure if I just said that. Could this all be a dream? Before I have time to think, Kid and Madge will come up beside me, also staring at the apparition. Okay, now I know this is real. It's too real to be a dream. Where'd she go? Black magic, witchcraft, necromancy. I've seen all sorts of different types of stuff in the past, but this... I don't think I've ever been faced with anything like this before. On the other hand, Magil stands there with his usual cool composure. I doubt this is the first time he's dealing with something like this. A wave of anxiety runs through my entire body, standing here in this damp, dark hallway. I wonder, should we even be here? Was this a message of some kind to leave? Just by standing there, we might already be desecrating the memory of the dead. The girl's face shines out in my mind. She seems so sad. I do not believe this will necessarily help our mission. Let's move on. I've never been so quick to agree with Magil. Kate doesn't seem to have any objections either. So that was the start of Shay's Light Homecoming. Take another second to see about the light. Go to the ballroom. It seems so. The candles in this room have been placed in such a way to produce patterns of shadows, consistent with occult teachings, Magil says. Looking down, I can see he's onto something. A number of strange, candlelit patterns dance around the floor. Do not stand there. I instantly leap back, cold sweat running down my neck. My hand is on my knife. Not that it'll do any good at this point. Indeed. A most peculiar arrangement, Magil continues as I back against the wall. This is indeed an unholy cathedral, ordained for occult sermons. The shadows indicate this spot is a focal point of some kind. The entire mansion is an instrument for defying order. No, wait, he continues a moment later. I was wrong. This room isn't the focal point. The shadows don't quite meet here in focus, as though... Listen, Magil, that's great, but what does it have to do with us? This may be our only way out, Magil counters. Look, what are you trying to get us into? We're already been seeing some strange things around here, and this has nothing to do with the flame. We need to keep moving here. Now let's go. Very well, Magil says, continuing to stare at the shadows as we leave. Wait, really? Alright, that didn't work the way I wanted it to. Magil steps into the center of the room, resuming his inspection of the strange symbols on the ground. There's a presence here. Look around with him. A little scared, I start to look around the cathedral. Its dusty pillars and cold, clammy walls send a shiver down my spine. Setting my sights on the organ, I walk over towards it. Strange. The keyboard is fake. There's no mistaking it. These keys aren't real. They're bound together. All the whites are one solid piece of ivory, as well as all the blacks. Hey, Magil, have you seen this yet? I think they found something. Try pressing on the black keys, try pressing on the white keys, try pressing both at once. Yeah, why not? As soon as I press down the keys, the wall just left of me begins to rumble. A secret passage has just opened up. Peering into it, I could see a stone stairway winding down. A secret floor directly beneath this one. Of course, Magil says to himself as we start down the narrow staircase. Once we reach the bottom, Magil casts a spell, allowing us to see into this dark, damp. Sorry, I meant to say damp. It said dank and damp. So it was damp room. The faint luminescence here allows us to see somewhat. We're in a room not much taller than head height. However, what's interesting is that this room seems to have the exact same length and width as the room above us. Even the pillars are here, in the exact same places as they were above. Could this be the original floor covered up with what's there now? Why would someone do that? What would they need to cover up? Look over there, Magil whispers. In one direction he's pointing, we see a faint cloud-like mass. No, my mistake. It's something sketched on the floor, emitting a dull, pulsating light. What is it? Kid asks. I cannot be sure. Perhaps it's an inscription, placed here by those that constructed this place. I must think more on this matter. Suddenly a dry wind blows past me. It didn't come from the stairwell, and there aren't any windows down here. Let us come back when we know more, Magil says. I have no problem with that whatsoever. We head back up the stairs and out of the cathedral, back into the corridor within seconds, but still, That chilly feeling on the back of my neck hasn't abated. Alright, now it says I have to take the steps down and go to Lynx's quarters. And then I have to come back to the cathedral afterwards. Macaw pauses, staring at the door handle. What's wrong, I ask. These doors. They're locked, but not with the key. Some type of force field is protecting them. Can't you use your magic on it? He closes his eyes, slowly extending his hand towards the handle. But just before he touches it, a spark jumps out at his hand. The solution to this riddle lies elsewhere, he says before turning on his kneel. Kid and I follow after him a moment later. Wait, what? However, the flower in the vase is long since wilted, and it's been a long time since furniture was last dusted. There are traces of life here, but not recent ones. A broken window lies behind this elegant interior. Wind blows through a small crack. There doesn't seem to be anything useful here. Let's go. Hang on a sec, Kid replies, kicking open a chest. I came to her side, peering in with her. Inside, a pale blue robe is found. Shia, Kid quietly says. Or Shay. That name, Shay. Kid takes notice of my looking at her and quickly composes herself. You're right. There's nothing here. Come on. Before I have time to ask, Kid leads the way out. That's weird. Just as before, the strange markings shine with a dull, somber light in the center of this dreary, forgotten room. These designs here indicate that this is used to be for some kind of resurrection ceremony. I am not sure what these symbols mean here, though. Kid and I glance at each other, wondering how much longer we'll have to stay down here before Macaw's ready to go. There must be an explanation for this somewhere in this mansion. Let us search elsewhere. We scamper back up the stairs and out of the cathedral. Leeches. This is the leech thing. I take a deep breath, reminding myself I can't lose my cool now. Kid would never respect me again if I did. I start to slowly walk down the corridor, carefully placing my steps between the slimy, slithering leeches. Surge, Kid whispers. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be here. Come on, Kid, hop on, I say, bending over. She eagerly leaps onto my back. Ugh, she's a little heavier than I thought. I take a few steps, getting used to the weight. However, Kid suddenly starts screaming. They're all over me. Get me out of here. Kid, I'm gonna fall over if you keep squirming around like that. I can't help it. Go faster. I pick up the pace a bit. Jogging along, my arms are starting to burn. And suddenly, I start to lose my grip on Kid. Ah! Kid shrieks, falling into the leech-infested ground. Ugh. Oh man, they're all over her. She's covered with thick green slime as well as a frightening number of leeches, squirming and crawling over her body. She's barely visible underneath all that muck. Get him off of me, she yells, spitting out leeches as she scrambles back up onto me. Petrified, she clings tightly to me, strangling my neck. Can't breathe. The leeches continue to fester their way underneath our clothes, in our hair, and on our faces until all of a sudden they start to recede, and now... Oh! Halt! Macaw shouts. He points towards the mass, and suddenly a blazing stream of fire comes streaking out of his fingertips. The mass erupts into flames. However, a strange sort of low, garbled voice starts to echo out from the burning mess. Moments later, some sort of monster comes springing out of the charred pile of leeches, armed with a huge scythe. Oh. It swings its sight out, aimed directly for me. And ducking didn't work last time, so it's parry. I bring my knife forward, hoping to parry the blow. However, the demon easily anticipates my move and shifts the sight downward at the very last moment. Nope. Well, this one didn't give me the right, I'm confused because this says to do a specific thing and it's not working. How do I get into Lynx's quarters? Maybe I did something the first time I was playing it that opened it and I was supposed to do it again. I don't know. No, it doesn't say anything about unlocking Lynx's quarters. It's weird. Yeah, this doesn't really elaborate. That's kind of shitty. So they actually skip a whole thing, the whole like step I need to do. Maybe there's somewhere else that I could look for this. Hold on. I could use a short break anyway because my throat is killing me. Search soon finds a secret passageway, its layout. Kid finds a blue robe in unused quarters and mentions the name Shay. They continue to explore the manor, eventually arriving at an ornate room that houses the frozen flame. However, it's held within the grasp of a lifeless mannequin with a platinum plating. What? That's kinda... They don't tell you where that is, though. I walk over and examine the painting, illuminated by the pale moonlight. It's a watercolor painting depicting a peculiar scenario. Within the painting, it appears to be day and night, as well as spring, summer, autumn, and winter, all at the same time. Everything else looks melted away, fading into everything else. At the core of this swirling, chaotic maelstrom, there's a small black gem, burning with a deep red flame inside of it. What you looking at, Serge? Oh, it's probably just another one of Link's sick hobbies, collecting weird stuff like this. Yeah, but... come on, this is boring. Come on, this is boring. I want to get that flame. Alright, I reluctantly agree with her, giving a forced laugh. Yeah, I could say more, but... more enemies. This skeleton shit. I'm not even reading this, I just wanted this encounter to be done. Yeah, Macaw got like frozen or something here. The lady again. Huh? What was that? Sorry, I'm hard of hearing. Sure's a nice moon out tonight, huh? Please don't mistake me for someone who's fooled easily. Now, I won't be asking you again. Do you plan to go up against the master? You pissing her off. Let's see what this results in. Are you calling me a liar? Well, alright then. I apologize if I was rude, but it's just Viper Manor has seen more than a few unwelcome guests over the years. Surely you can understand my apprehension. I hope the rest of your stay is an enjoyable one. Hissing these words, the old woman's figure melts into thin air, vanishing without a trace. Ma'am? Kid and I glance at each other. It's a waste of time. Yeah, I know. We've seen that already. Oh, I could get into the treasure room easily this time. Before Macaw can even offer an unlock spell, I notice Kid combing her fingers through her hair, revealing a hairpin after a moment or two. Kneeling down by the door, she fiddles around with the lock for a bit, and after a while, unlocks it with a click. That was almost too easy. An amazing sight is spread for our eyes. I don't quite know what to think of it. We're in some sort of treasure vault, yeah, I know, with piles of gold, silver, and other sparkling treasure stacked in piles throughout the room, but that's not the half of it. Looking out towards the far end, an even more remarkable sight catches my eye. Halfway into the room, the piles of treasure turn into somewhat of a beach, followed by a glistening ocean. It's all a huge diorama, with every single object crafted from gems or precious metal. The ocean, however, is perfectly calm. No, calm isn't the word for it. It's as still as glass. The glistening sheen of every undulating white cap here seems to be frozen in time, stirred up like crystal valleys against the jade-like reefs of nearby islands. I walk out onto the beach and bend down to touch the unmoving water, but it's not frozen, just motionless. A polished metallic sheen adorned the scales of mica and hair of platinum, stands proudly on a nearby island, with a mysterious smile on its face. In its lifelike hand, almost obscured by a crashing wave, is an object of rare beauty. The stone, gripped tightly by the pearl-colored hand, seems as though it's captured this ocean's stormy essence within its deep red center. Indeed, this is the object we've been seeking, yet it's out of our grasp, if only by a small distance, seized within the hands of a suspicious-looking metallic contraption. The frozen flame. There it is, Surge. Get your scaffold, Kid shouts, unable to suppress her highly strung heart any longer. However, I hesitate. There's more to this than meets the eye, I tell myself as I glance at Macaw. His eyes tell me the same. Look around for a while longer. I haven't come this far to fall into fear of the unknown. Do as Kid says, going for the flame. Ouch! What was that for? You have to slap me every time you disagree with me. Look, mate, just have your scaffold. Just let me have your scaffold and I'll take care of the rest, alright? It's no use. I suppose if I'm going to face pain no matter what I do, we might as well get the frozen flame. I take the bamboo scaffold out of my bag. The orientation what the fuck is this word? The Oriental monocotyledon. It's crafted from is extremely light, durable, and elastic, perfect for travel. That's a comma. I'm like, what the fuck? I place it on the ground and we go to work, assembling the bridge-like structure. I stand back after a few moments, looking at the finished product spread out on the beach. Kid tests it by stepping on it lightly, then adding a little more weight until she finally stands on it firm. It appears solid enough. I nod to Kid as Madrigal and I take the scaffolding and swing it over to the small island, connecting the two pieces of land together. I let out a deep, shaky breath as Kid takes her first step out. The scaffold gives a little, but stays afloat. The siren maintains its ominous stare as Kid approaches. The distance between the two closes with each passing step. Before long, she reaches the reef and is within arm's length of the flame. Excuse me. Come on, take it, I whisper, my fists clench. She reaches out ever so slowly. Her head turns from the flame to the siren's face and back as her hands draw closer and closer. Those deep aquamarine eyes remain vacant and still. But wait, no. The siren is starting to move. Kid, get out of there. It's coming to life. The Kid's already on her back with the frozen flame in hand. The churning of the siren's metallic innards increases, getting louder and louder by the second. The sound rips through my eardrums as I watch its movements become more and more fluid. Just as the siren starts to move, the ocean comes to life as well. Some of the waves start to churn and toil, gaining increasing vigor and momentum the more the siren awakens. The siren turns and takes a step towards Kid, who's now back on the scaffold. She's having trouble maintaining balance now above the now violent body of water, as it crashes and bubbles mere inches beneath her feet. Pursued by this relentless, inorganic beast, she desperately tries to make her way home. Oh no! Kid slipped on a wet spot. She falls into the water head first with a splash. The surging waves splash all around her, mercilessly thrashing all about. The siren starts to come for Kid, trudging ever so slowly into the white-capped frenzy. A sudden wave smashes into Kid, and after it recedes, I can't even see her head anymore. Please, God, don't let her drown. I see her hand emerge a few seconds later, desperately reaching out, trying to grab onto something. I have to save her, distract that siren, anything. Suddenly, a flash flies through the air. It's Macaw. He's shooting his silver needles at the siren. Excuse me. One of them hits it directly between the eyes. Platinum-colored blood starts to gush out of a hole. However, it does nothing to stop the unrelenting robotic beast. Now only a few feet from Kid, its mouth begins to open in an unnatural extent, like that of a gigantic snake. Damn it, what am I gonna do? Dive into the water, throw my knife at it? I dive in without a moment's notice. I try to open my eyes underwater to find Kid, but the instant I do, I'm forced to shut them from the salty sting of seawater. Coming up for air, I try to find Kid among the vigorously crashing waves. She's away ahead of me, bobbing in and out of the water. I have to be quick. Swimming over to where I last saw her, a hand suddenly floats up to the surface of the water. I grab on and pull with all my might. The hand is rotted away below the wrist, however. Corpses suddenly start emerging all around me. These half-rotten, waterlogged bodies should all be dead and lifeless, but somehow they're all coming for me, trying to pull me under. Ugh. I quickly dive underwater, swimming as fast as I can from the pack of bodies. I come up for air, spotting Kid just a few feet in front of me. She's spitting water out of her mouth, only moments away from drowning. Kid, come on, hurry! I grab her hand and dive deep underneath the stormy water. Swimming away, I accidentally bump into one of the corpses. Just as I feel all of them start to crowd around us, I unsheath my knife and blindly hack away. Clinging tightly to Kid's hand, I swim until I can't hold my breath any longer. Coming up for air, I realize we've made it. I take her up into my arms and carry her ashore. She's barely conscious. Ugh. Lying next to me, Kid coughs up a bit, spitting up seawater. I try to calm her down, and after a few moments, she rests peacefully on the glittering beach. Fuck. I don't know why I'm stuttering so much now. I think I'm just tired. Whew. Suddenly I notice something. It's quiet. Perfectly quiet. I look up, wondering what just happened. The ocean has reverted back to how it once was. Perfectly still, like a slice in time once again. The corpses are nowhere to be found. The siren has resumed its original pose, suddenly perched on the far island, with that mysterious smile once again streaked across its face. After a few moments, Kid holds the frozen flame up over her head, staring into its shimmering beauty. Well, we got what we came for. She's right. I stand up and shake myself off, relieved it's all over with. I help her to her feet, eager to get out of here. From the treasure vault to Pat's, yeah, we gotta go towards the terrace. Keep going. Shouldn't the terrace be here? We've been walking long enough, but somehow the walls seem to extend on without any end in sight. You're just shook up from what happened back there, mate, Kid says. Come on, the terrace is right up here. No, that wood handrail with the big knot in it. I remember clearly. We just passed it a minute ago. We're going in circles. Circles? What a load. We're walking on a straight path. Can't you see it? She shouts, pointing down the dark corridor. See? Straight. I know, Kid. I don't know. Keep going straight, determined to find an answer. Turn back the way we came. Here it is again. The same knot. This is bloody ridiculous. Why did we come all the way out here? For this? Look at us. We can't even find our way out of a blasted house. Kid's going into hysteria. Wish I could do something, but to be honest, I'm much better off right now. This is friggin' crazy. We're going in circles. We never should have come out here. We never should have done this. We're lost, goddammit. What are we supposed to do now? Look, Kid, nobody needs all the yelling, I say, frustrated. Who asked you, lame brain sacca? Suddenly, Macaw comes up behind us and touches us on the back of our necks. I don't know what he's doing, but it instantly calms me down. And by the looks and sounds of it, Kid as well. I lean against the wall for a second, trying to think of what to do. Kid stoops down, miserable. We are being toyed with, Macaw says. Look closely down the center of the hallway. See how the walls suddenly warp? This is all an illusion of some sort. Apparently someone or something does not want us to advance any further. Well, congratulations, Lynx. You got us walking in circles, but you're mighty proud of yourself. So now what are you gonna do? Play some more games or fight like a man? Frustrated, she storms down the hallway again. When is this bloody passageway gonna end? This terrace is nowhere in sight. Continue on through the passage. Turn back into the manor. Might as well turn back now. After a while, the pit splits in 3 directions. Fuck. I can't talk anymore. We gotta go downstairs. Now I think we go to Lynx's corners. What's that strange look on your face for, mate? I don't know, I don't have a good feeling about this place. Aw, come on, mate. You never have a good feeling about anything. It's just after we went through with the treasure vault and all. I don't know, maybe I'm just being a worrywart. Excuse me. Are you sure you want to keep going? Kid asks with an unusually serious face. Somehow I find myself nodding silently, ignoring the warnings in my head. I remember something someone told me a while ago about this place. Everything in that mansion answers to Lord Lynx, he said. The creatures, the walls, the statues, everything. If you understand the concept of power by fear and control, then you understand Lynx. Macaw strokes his chin, calmly examining the gigantic. There's bound to be something important here. Those dark mahogany doors towering above us, emanating an unmistakable sense of intimidation. Oh god, it's been 2 hours and 40 minutes. All set, I ask, taking a deep breath, pushing the door slowly. Oh, now it opens. Interesting. As expected, these are Lynx's quarters. Or should I say, were. Staring at the sight before our eyes, all I could do is gasp in silence, half surprised, half terrified. To put it simply, Lynx was quite certainly in this room. However, not as we expected. Lynx's corpse had been hastily stashed in the couch on the far end of the room, Only his mangled hand is visible, sticking out from beneath the cushion. Kid goes over and slowly lifts up one of the cushions. I don't know if it's the smell of the sight that makes her gag, but yes, it's definitely Lynx under there. I never expected any of this when I came here tonight. I mean, rumors of Lord Lynx's reign have been going on around as strong as ever. Although when I think about it, his reputation alone could probably carry on such a regime. I wonder how long it's been since this happened. It can't be. That genocidal, terror-driven maniac. He burnt down the temple and abducted Shay. How can he be dead already? I wanted my revenge, Kid mutters, tears swelling in her eyes. Shay. Where have I heard that name before? No one knows Lynx is dead except for us. You must be the first one to find out about it. Heh. Or maybe not, Kid adds. Her attempt at humor only succeeds in causing my feeling of dread to grow even stronger. Lynx is dead. Strange. Magil kneels down and lifts one of the cushions, examining the corpse as though he was a coroner. Hey, I always liked a nice firm seat, Kid says, pretending to sit down on it. Enough with the bad jokes already, Kid. The corpse has no life essence, Magil continues. Isn't that how corpses usually are, I ask? Generally, yes. When a person dies, one's consciousness or spirit is separated from the body. Normally, as the spirit leaves the body, the corpse will crumble in time. However, in this case, the corpse is aged, but it has not even started to crumble at all yet. It is merely without moisture. Lynx's spirit has not yet been released. So that means, yes, his spirit is still here, probably somewhere within this mansion. Magil seems unusually disturbed by all this. First the phantom, then that whole siren thing, and now this? Even he's having trouble keeping this cool. We're all in over our heads. Lynx was apparently slain by a blade, Magil says, pointing to a gash on his belly. Looking around, he finds the murder weapon. It's a bloody sword, stashed behind a chair. An Acacian sword. Interesting. Magil tries to remain focused, racking his brain for information. If a body and its spirit have been detached in this manner, the body will yearn for its spirit. It will transform into sort of a bottomless well, endlessly seeking spirits until it finds its own. What does that have to do with us? Oh, Kid says solemnly. Something's happening. This room, no, the whole house, all around us, the walls are starting to creak. There's something in here waiting for us. I can feel it on the back of my neck. I whip around with my knife ready, but nothing's there. Suddenly, something grabs my arm. Oh no, get it off of me. I whip around, again. But it's only Kid. Get a grip, mate. It's just me. Phew. We've got the flame. Lynx is dead. Why do we even need to be here anymore? Come on, let's go, she shouts. She's right. Screw this place. We can get out of here at all, Magil adds, standing up. And then the walls begin to creak again. We look around. The lights flicker. Ow, my legs. The lights flicker. Don't go out yet. Please, God, don't go out. Kid. We instantly whip around. The voice is coming from the mirror. Finally, you've come. That girl, the one from before, it's her. She's here, faintly floating within the mirror. How we gotta get out of it? Do you know her, Kid? No, of course I'm not gonna scream and yell. Shay, is that you? Kid says, gazing at the faint apparition with desperate eyes. I take another look at the girl, barely visible in the reflection. It seems she's saying something, but it's too faint to make out. What are you saying? I ask, taking a step closer. Pain. Awful, awful pain. And so, I welcome your souls. A gigantic hand suddenly materializes out of the mirror, grabbing at me. Magil instantly pulls back, just as a huge hand is about to seize me. If not for Magil's lightning-quick instincts, who knows what would have happened. I'm at a loss for words. All I can muster out is, thanks, Magil. Thank you. I can't tell you how many close calls I owe to him. All of a sudden, a deep, booming laugh echoes all around us. That bastard. Lynx. I know it's him, Kid says, looking around. As the laugh grows louder and louder, a light begins to shimmer from Kid's backpack. Opening it up, she takes out the frozen flame, staring at it as it shines brighter and brighter before our eyes. Suddenly, a flash of crimson light bursts out from it in all directions. As this happens, the ominous laughing continues to get louder and louder. Kid's being put under some sort of spell. Her body rises off the floor, motionless, as the stone continues to shine brighter and brighter. Magil, what's going on? Magil closes his eyes and begins muttering something. Before long, he unleashes a surging aura, arcing directly towards Kid. A somber red glow casts its light on everything in the room. The light is distorted, and the stone sparkle begins to lessen. Is she okay, I ask, but I get no response. It seems Magil's suppressing the spell. He's having trouble maintaining it, though. Surge, take her, now. I can't hold it off for much longer. I grab Kid and rush her outside the dreadful blood-red room. Looking at her, she's as white as a ghost. In her trembling hand, she holds a steadfast grip on the frozen flame. Magil meets up with us a moment later, looking completely exhausted. Kid. Hey, Kid. Huh? Where am I? In that comforting, familiar voice, Kid slowly starts to recover. Where do you think we are? Magil asks. 7. Good to have you back, Kid. I'll never understand these two. What was that all about, Magil? I do not know. I have rarely seen magic of such a kind. The luminescent seal we saw earlier beneath the cathedral had a similar structure. There has to be some sort of connection. Let's head back through the corridor. Heading back, we travel to the passageway, eager to shake this feeling of dread. Yeah, we know this already. Keep on walking. We're never gonna get out of here. People have probably been trapped here their whole lives, or longer. Relax, mate. We got enough food here to last us a while. Funny, that didn't really relax me very much. Kid's acting strange. It's that girl. I know it has something to do with that girl, but what could it all mean? I want to ask Kid, but now's not the right time. Why not? Hey, about that robe. It's the official congregational robe of the Temple of the Four Spirits, Magil instantly says. It must have been on his mind as well. Isn't that where you were raised, Kid? Yeah, they took us in, all us orphans. It seems to be a hard subject for her. I can understand why. She always seems so moved by this. When Kid is lost in thought, Magil takes me aside and explains the rest to me, alone. Kid, still a child at the time, was raised by the Holy Sisters in their temple. However, one day, one of these sisters was summoned to Lynx's mansion. Kid waited day after day, but the sister did not return. After some time had passed, Kid secretly sneaked out of this temple, determined to find out what happened. So this must be a completely different canon because, it has nothing to do with Luca or an orphanage. She made it almost all the way to the Viper Manor, alone and unprepared. She was just a child, after all. But then she heard an explosion, back in the direction of her hometown. She looked back and saw fires everywhere, and I don't know why we're crackling so much here, engulfing the only home she ever knew. Someone had set fire to her entire village, including the temple. Forgetting the mansion for the time being, she ran back to town, but Kid was the only survivor. Back then, I was a regular visitor of that temple. One day, I came to where the town had been and came across this sight. All the village had been burnt to the ground, and there appeared to be no survivors. But following my intuition, I searched and searched. And there, among all the cinders and bodies, crouched a tiny, trembling little girl. After I took Kid under my wing, it was an entire year before she spoke again. Ever since then, I haven't seen her cry. I didn't get to read that. I don't know why the text advanced itself. Come on, no sense in backing out now, Kid says all of a sudden. I take a deep breath as we come to the towering set of doors. The game's like glitching a bit here. Kid gives a push and they creak open, slowly. We walk up to the organ, pressing the white and black keys together. I retract my hand as soon as I press on the keys, wary of traps. After a moment or two, the wall begins to rumble and the secret door opens. The staircase winds down into darkness. Come on. No sense in waiting around all day, Kid says, heading down with the cold, damp staircase. Macaw and I follow down, into the forgotten lair. Suddenly, as if awakened by our being there, the magic seal grows stronger and stronger, giving off a terrifying shaking tremor as its radiance intensifies, filling the room with its aura. Despite our situation, I can't help but be caught up in the spectacle of it all. However, at its core, he's here. Lynx. Oh my god, why is that happening? Kid's tone as though she's speaking the name of death itself. This man, no, this thing. Lynx! Kid calls out to Lynx, her eyes as ravenous as a hawk's as she grips with her knife tight. Lynx's image wavers silently in the air, apparently undisturbed. Kid, on the other hand, sets aside her peace of mind, calling forth the fury of maddening vengeance. Lynx starts to speak out, but ironically, in a meek and comforting tone. The frozen flame. Please, return it here, young girl. Yeah, right. You think I'm gonna listen to a bastard like you? At that moment, Kid reaches in her pockets. Moments later, she pulls out the glowing red stone. Shimmering red streaks back out between her fingers as she holds the frozen flame high above her. Yes, Lynx continues, it is my spirit. Please, you must help me. Your spirit? Kid asks. Lord Lynx's image pleads with Kid in a pitiful manner. Please, hear me. I, too, was once on a quest. Struck down by the blade of an evil assassin, I failed to reach my goal. Through the power of secret ancient arts, I was barely able to secure my spirit within the frozen flame, but just barely. In this meager existence, I am helpless, bound to this magic seal before you. Please return the flame to me. I am helpless without it. Pity, Kid says. I'm sure you know all about pity. You ever show any of those people you maimed any pity? Kid's eyes return to their hard stare. You expect us to believe you? You, the bastard who tortured countless people? Death isn't good enough for the likes of you, she shouts, squeezing the flame tighter and tighter. Please, pity me, the faint apparition pleads. Kid. Wait. Please. Kid suddenly stops dead in her tracks, hearing the voice. It wasn't Lynx's voice. Ah, you. No, Lynx shouts out. Lynx's apparition bends and contorts, blurring like a sweltering heat until another figure starts to overlap his image. It's the girl. She's fighting to come through, wrestling with Lynx. Please, you must not trust him. Do not lend any more to his revival, the girl says, painfully twisting and turning within the seal. Revival? Of course. I understand the seal's meaning now, Macaw adds. The seal, it's for a seance, an anti-spirit seance. By consuming other spirits, Lynx breaks the seal by which he is kept from returning to the physical world, bit by bit. Consuming other spirits. It all makes sense now, Macaw says. The flame, put right out in the open, was meant for us to be taken. It all points to this being one huge trap. There must have been others like us, thieves who had come looking for the flame, Macaw continues. They took it, but then found themselves unable to escape. Yeah, Lynx must have pounced on them through the flame when they least expected it, just like what happened to Kid in Lynx's room. Lynx just doesn't count on someone like Macaw, who was never able to counter his evil magic. There must be no one left alive in this entire mansion. They've all been consumed by Lynx. All those corpses we saw. How many have died, never to have gotten this far? Shay. Besides me, I hear Kid say that name again. Shay, it's you. It's you. Kid. I've never heard Kid's voice take on such a soft tone. No, I wouldn't call it soft. It's more of the kind of tone a child clings to her mother with. Now I remember. One of the sisters of the temple where Kid was raised was named Shay, if I'm not mistaken. Shay, it's me, Kid. Yes, my kid, my precious little kid. What a fantastic woman you've grown into. Get out of my mind. Lynx shouts from inside the seal. He forces his face through Shay's belly as they begin to painfully wrestle with each other once again. Kid, Shay continues, painfully overcoming Lynx. Thank you for remembering me. However, I cannot return to you. Please hear me. The frozen flame must be destroyed. It is through this that Lynx is able to slowly resurrect himself. Please destroy it and save yourselves. I will restrain Lynx in the meantime. But, no, you can't. Come back. Come back with me. Kid, just as headstrong as ever, Shay says with a wide smile across her face. I must fall with Lynx. I am bound to this fate. You see, I am burdened with this crime. My father's blood runs just as thickly through my veins. Father? Sensing his own impending death, Lynx made preparations for revival before he was slain, Shay says painfully, barely able to restrain Lynx's mortal hatred. This anti-spirit seance he prepared was designed to feed off other spirits in exchange for adding to his own rejuvenation. Shay's eyes take on a somber glow. To invoke the seance, he needed a blood relative to consume first. Yes, kid, I was born unto him illegitimately. I am his daughter. Kid's face turned to that of utter shock hearing this. The moment that Dragoon slew Lynx, I felt my spirit being sucked into the spot, consumed within his seance. But he did not stop there. All my people met the same fate. Not even this was enough, however. He continues to greedily lure unsuspecting visitors of Viper Manor to this very day, hoping to consume more and more spirits that he may one day cross back over. This insidious crime, it must be stopped, she concludes. Mortified, Kid is unable to say a word. Thank you for hearing me. The truth is known, finally. Now please, save yourself, my precious little kid. Kid takes a deep breath, staring at the shiny jewel she's been seeking for so long. I choose to end it, she says solemnly. Place it on the ground before you, says Magil. Kid does so, and not long after, Magil's thick voice begins to echo out an incantation. Looking over at him, an arc of magic streaks out from his fingertips towards the flame. The scarlet jewel takes on a strange dark color as it begins to hum louder and louder. Shay smiles upon seeing this. Thank you. Thank you for setting me free. I've waited a century for this moment to put an end to Lynx. I've waited a century for this moment to put an end to Lynx, Magil says, smiling broadly. And now, it is finished. As the flame continues to grow darker and darker with its new hollow, gray aura, Magil shouts, Surge, take cover and hold Kid to you. The flame is losing stability. I can't remember what happened next very clearly. The magic seals radiance. Lynx's contorted screams. Magil invoking his magic. Shay's comforting smile. Oh. A tear rolling down Kid's cheek. When I come to, I find that I'm lying on the ground, holding Kid tightly to me, rubbing the soot out of my eyes. How long have I been here? Our clothes have been tattered, our bodies have been sustained more than our fair share of bruises, but we're alright. It looks like Magil was thrown over to the opposite side of the room. He lays there silently, exhausted of all energy, fast asleep. I pick up my head to glance over to where the flame was. It's gone. There's no traces of Shay or Lynx either. I sleep, and sleep, and sleep. The moon rises for a second time, and I finally feel like I have the strength to get up. I nudge Kid, who's still groggy, as I sit up on the cold stone floor. All this, and what do we have to show for it? Nothing, I think to myself remorsefully. But then I glance over at Kid and realize that's not entirely true. Walking through the forest wilderness, I look back over my shoulder to the towering mansion one last time. Finally, Viper Manor is at peace. Walking beside me, Kid gulps painfully as she looks down at her hand, tracing the outline of where she once grasped the legendary frozen flame so tightly. Closing her hand, she moves on. And so the curtain closes on another tale. However, another time, after the spotlight had faded from Kid, Magil, and Shay, in another place and another time, a similar band of adventurers had come forth, equally unsuspecting of their other selves, and life went on as they strode out into the great unknown. But that's a story for another day. For now, I shall put down my pen. So all the other stories when you fall asleep are alternate universes, essentially. So it kind of plays into the Chrono Cross's multiple worlds. As I softly close my grandfather's diary, I hear my mother's voice call to me from downstairs. "Didn't you hear me? Your friend is here." I turn around, already knowing who it is. My door opens quite energetically when I see a strangely nostalgic girl barge in. "Serge, we found some ruins of an old mansion up in northern Kitsune Forest today. Come on, let's go exploring." Oh, Serge is there this time. That was an interesting take on the story. So in that one, Kid was not raised by Luca. She was raised by a group that ran a temple. The one girl from the temple was Lynx's illegitimate child, and Lynx was slain well before all that shit happened. But he set up a bunch of traps to essentially, like, pull people over so he could eventually be resurrected. Not bad. There's a bunch more scenarios, and we will do them, but not tonight, because it's been over 3 hours now. I need to stop. My throat is killing me. In fact, I should probably just take a throat lozenge right now and save myself the trouble. Ah, honey. Even though it's not really honey. It's like honey for a second, and then it turns into, like, super sharp medicine taste. Not very good. So yeah, what I'm going to do is, there's not going to be stream tomorrow because I'm going to the city for a while. I'm actually not going to be back too late, but by the time I get back, it's already going to be well after the time I usually start streaming. So I'd rather not push out another one tomorrow. I'll do one on Thursday that'll hopefully be around 3 hours, and we'll get the rest of the endings in this, hopefully, within that time period. And then maybe we'll watch the true ending. Yeah, we'll be seeing plenty more alt universes, because I believe there are 7 scenarios. We've cleared 2 of them. one of the scenarios apparently has 3 different endings, so we'll be seeing those. And I think there's also 2 bonus scenarios at the end that you can unlock. Is my encoding overloaded when that happens? I gotta see here. Doesn't say. I have dropped a lot of frames though. Over almost 2% of the stream. And the stream's over 3 hours, so that's a fuckload. Homecoming, Shay's Light. Anyway, I'll save it here. Yeah, I know. Well, I think it's just not working right on my end. I don't know. The last couple months, it's been doing that where the stream crackles and overloads, even though I'm not doing anything different than I was before. Anyway, worry about it another time. It's 11. I want to stop. It's been over 3 hours now. We'll pick this up on Thursday, hopefully around 7 sharp instead of 7:40 this time. So yeah. You guys have a great evening. Let me see, is there anyone on a host before I go? Not really. I'm just going to let the auto host take this one over. Anyway, my throat is killing me now, so I'm going to get going. You guys have a great evening, and I'll see you Thursday. Later.